Pirates Full Level System, Chapter 141-160. Chapter 141 Rinnegan. The sword-wielding old man Hunyuchungju, his move, the Death Tornado, can kill even the Death God. Even if he is as strong as the other four in the Gorosei, 5 elders, he would not dare to fight the sword-wielding old man's move. Shake. Your move is indeed terrifying, that's why. I hurriedly retreated. The old man with a scar on one side had a faint breath, and looked solemnly at the venue ravaged by the Death Tornado. The black tornado tens of meters high is mercilessly releasing its power, colliding with the purple light shield, and it suddenly explodes like a thunder, turning into a vast terrifying energy, and the surrounding air suddenly boils, overwhelming the sea. His force roared towards Qinluo, the earth cracked, dark clouds rolled back, and everything around was swept into the sky. In the center of the venue, with broken walls and dust, it was a complete disaster scene. Boom. After the hurricane raged, it was a mess. On the ground, all the marks were cut by the blade. On a boulder, a shocking ditch. The dust dissipated and the tornado annihilated. Qinluo's figure appeared in front of Gorosei, 5 elders. With Qinluo as the center, in the field 2 meters away, he was not affected at all. Even the fatal blow of 2 of the Gorosei, 5 elders did not even blow Qinluo's hair. The intact ground forms a strong contrast with the ditch. Look at this striking figure in the center of the venue. The 4 old men were all shocked. How is that possible? The first person who spoke was the old man with a knife who was confident in his sword skills. His death tornado could kill even gods, but in front of Qinluo, it did not cause any substantial damage. Seeing the smiling young figure in the arena, the old man with the knife was extremely surprised. It's absolutely impossible. The old man with the scar also widened his eyes in disbelief, and his face twitched in horror. His pressure shield, even Admiral, the Marshal, is extremely difficult to deal with, it is almost impossible to resist it intact. The old man with the scar, unless he doesn't use it, as long as he uses it, he will definitely see blood. This kind of thinking has long been ingrained in the old man's mind, but at this moment, when he sees Qinluo standing in the center of the field, how can he not be shocked? This is the result of the cooperation between him and the old man with the knife. If one of them dealt with Qinluo, what kind of scene would it be? Qinluo's light smile formed a strong contrast with the depressed expressions of the 4 old men. For a time, Gorosei, 5 elders, faces became extremely dark, and they all raised their vigilance dozens of times. They came out of their backs. Fear. I am deeply jealous of Qinluo. Similar to what Zephyr and Kong said. At first, this kid just caught the pirate ship with one hand. Although Zephyr and Kong were a little surprised, this did not make Gorosei, 5 elders face up to it. Any Logia-capable person wants to smash a pirate ship with one palm. Is very easy. And Kong's report at that time, Gorosei, 5 elders also completely ignored. Think Qinluo is just a little devil of a Logia devil fruit person. Today, it seems more troublesome than Gorosei, 5 elders thought. Tricky. The 2 of us joined forces to strike a fatal blow, and you can stand in the same place without incident. The old man with scars said in shock with fierce eyes. Little devil, we admit that we underestimated you at the beginning, but do you really have the confidence to take advantage of the 4 of us? To be honest, the 4 of us joining forces are not simply 1 + 1. The old man with the drooping beard stared at Qinluo, his tone indifferent, with a strong sense of threat. Hee. Gorosei, 5 elders, I advise you to take back your scare stuff. Since I dare to come, I'm not afraid of the 4 of you joining forces. Qinluo stretched his hand forward without any fear. Humph. Mi Wang's beard and the hair of the old man flashed, and he directly performed the moon step in Marine Rokushiki. The ghostly figure appeared above Qinluo's head for a few tenths of a second. Rankyaku, Tempest Kick. The old man's figure was suspended, his right foot stepped on the void dozens of times, and the space was crushed. Immediately, his entire right leg violently exerted force, forming a perfect series of explosions. 1 foot, kicked down hard. The air suddenly suffocated, and as the long legs swept down, afterimages emerged into the void, and the sonic boom continued. The momentum was like a volcano falling from the sky, and the earth burst. Boom! The sole of the foot, which was like a thunderclap, continued to enlarge in front of Qin Luo's eyes. As the old man's volley was pressed down, the momentum was as heavy as a mountain, and the foot penetrated and kicked the space in front of him. Afterwards, Qin Luo's body also turned into countless black crows with scarlet eyes under the gaze of the four old men. Quack quack quack. The black crow spread its wings and flew away from here in an instant. But the old man Mi Wang's foot fell in the air, and he slashed directly and violently on the ground. Boom! A strong energy erupted from his feet, and the surrounding wind slammed on the ground like a gust of wind and torrential rain. The hard boulders around the body were squeezed and sank for more than 10 meters. The dust in the sky was lifted into the sky, and the surrounding area suddenly turned into a purgatory on earth. 0. Huh! With one foot on the ground, the four old men frowned. Mi Wang's old man's eyes also glowed with cold light, and with a decisive and quick kick, he actually kicked onto an afterimage, and the black crow gave the old man a mysterious and strange feeling. What about people? Where did you go? The four old men gasped for a few breaths of cold air, and looked around at the same time. The sudden scene made them nervous. Involuntarily, the palms of the old man with the knife broke out in cold sweat. The other people looked gloomy and cold, as if they were facing a great enemy. Just as the old men were frantically searching, not far behind the three of them, countless black air filled the air, and Qin Luo's figure slowly appeared, but at this moment, Qin Luo's eyes had completely transformed into scarlet kaleidoscope writing wheel eyes. As soon as Qin Luo came out, the four old men immediately noticed the abnormality and hurriedly turned around. When all of them saw Qin Luo's strange blood-red pupils, they couldn't help but have deep doubts. What kind of eyes are you? What a weird eye, what an evil breath. The four old men were shocked at the same time, and their inner precautions were extreme. Is it weird? That will make you more weird. Qin Luo's mouth opened slightly, and the bizarre kaleidoscope was spinning rapidly. A pair of lavender eyes, in the eyes, the pupils in the shape of a circle can't help but sink into them. Chapter 142 Idiot. Don't look into his eyes, I just couldn't help but sink into them. An old man reminded, and suddenly, the others trembled, and a cold sweat couldn't help shedding. They were unknowingly immersed in their consciousness, unable to extricate themselves. Return to normal, and everyone can't help but wait. Why has it changed again? What the hell is going on with this little devil's eyes? What is this eye? Facing the doubts of the old people, Qin Luo couldn't help laughing. My eyes are called Rinnegan. These are eyes that can destroy the world and create the world. The voice is clear, and there are no emotional fluctuations in the tone. Switching to Rinnegan, Qin Luo looked at everything around him, and his vision did not change much, but he felt that there was a powerful force that shook the world and destroyed the world in these eyes. Creating the world, destroying the world, what a shame. Although the knife-wielding old man was afraid of these eyes, he still didn't believe it when he declared that he could destroy the world. With just a pair of eyes, we can create and destroy the world. Do you think we are 3-year-old children? The more you boast, the louder the slap in the face will be in the end. Make up your mind. The bodies of the four old men appeared all around Qin Luo at the same time, punching, palm, kick and knife. In the flash of the figure, it was like a dull thunder passing by. In an instant, 4 extremely strong bombardments hit Qin Luo at the same time. Idiot. Qin Luo stood with his hands behind his back and scolded contemptuously, and then, 4 strong attacks like cannonballs were abruptly blocked. Bang! 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 The 4 of them hit the invisible shield at the same time. Huh! One of the old men's pupils shrank, and his face quickly changed. This is pressure. The shield of pressure. The shield of pressure. That's not your stunt, is it? How can this kid do it? The other 3 old men were surprised, and their eyes turned to the old man whose complexion changed. Pressure. Short-sighted. Qin Luo was speechless when he heard the old man call his shield of repulsion pressure. The mere pressure shield blocks the old man. Let the old man's treasured sword promise to say it first. Fist of pressure. Renkyaku, tempest kick. Exploding palm. The 4 old men roared in unison. Suddenly, the wind roared, the earth was scraped off a layer of skin, and the huge stone was like a cannonball. It was kicked by several old men and hit the shield of repulsion, making an earth-shattering sound. Bang! A marine in the distance was rushing towards the building. When they saw the apocalyptic scene and the magnificent battle in the distance, they swallowed fearfully and said, "Colonel, what kind of ability is that?" Seeing the situation ahead, the colonel immediately widened his eyes and said incredulously, "How could the world government suddenly intrude into the strong? Could it be that Lu Yun again this time?" Lu Yun. Hundreds of Marines heard the words. Cold sweat broke out involuntarily, and all of them had the man who dominated everything and controlled the lightning that day in their minds. The colonel's heart tightened, and an extremely dangerous premonition quickly grew in his heart, but he didn't dare to hesitate. He waved his hand and shouted, "All members, prepare to fight, must ensure the safety of Lord Gorosei, 5 elders." Marine clenched the guns in his hands one by one and quickly ran towards the disaster site. Dash 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 dash. 4 of the Gorosei, 5 elders used all their strengths. Fists roared, huge palms like mountains, mixed with countless sharp blades that were as heavy as thousands of pounds, all poured onto Qin Luo's shield of repulsion. Damn, so hard. Bastard, I can't believe it. This old man's pressure shield is invincible. Break it for me. In this world, there is nothing that my precious sword can't see. Give me a crack. Gorosei, 5 elders gritted their teeth, flushed, and showed their abilities. The earth trembled violently, the cracks were dense, and countless boulders were lifted up. The houses around were all swept away by the strong storm and destroyed in an instant. The place was devastated. Countless waves of madness crushed the shield of repulsion. Qin Luo, on the other hand, was standing inside the shield of repulsion, with an indifferent expression. At this moment, under the gaze of 4 pairs of eyes, Qin Luo, Vivi Isho, put his thumb into his mouth without hesitation and bit it lightly. A small mouth appeared, and then, the blood of Yin Hong quickly flowed out. Immediately, under the puzzled gazes of the 4 old men, Qin Luo put his hands in a strange shape. "What's this for? Hurry up and smash the entire pressure shield. Obliterate him. This child must not stay." When the 4 old men saw Qin Luo's strange gesture, they all froze, and they all hit hard. Crack. There was a light sound on the pressure shield, and a crack visible to the naked eye slowly emerged, and then quickly expanded. Gorosei, 5 elders saw hope, and countless fine fists and palms intertwined, and blade after blade, like a gust of wind and rain, smashed into the shield of pressure. With such an intensive attack, the cracks on the shield of repulsion expanded rapidly, and in just an instant, the entire shield of repulsion was full of cracks, almost shattering. Humph! See what other means you have. Grim Reaper. Tornado. Exploding palm. Pressure. The Spear of Judgment. Iron King Cannon Fist. The 4 of them worked together, and a shocking move was launched directly. In the end, the shield of repulsion burst apart. Then, the 4 old men slammed into Qin Luo with a huge and astonishing attack. Looking at the 4 people's ultimate move, Qin Luo was indifferent to Isho, and it was not affected by the shield of repulsion at all. In the blood-red eyes of the 4 people, Qin Luo's mouth showed a slight smile. Half squatting on the ground, his blood-stained right hand slammed into the ground. Press the ground on the shattered earth, and the mysterious black pattern instantly spreads from the right hand to all directions. The art of psychic. Bang. Boom. Boom. In 0.6, above the Holy Land, the white smoke that covered almost half of the Holy Land suddenly rose into the sky, drowning everything here. At the same time, the peerless strike of Gorosei, 5 elders directly slammed into Qin Luo, and then Qin Luo's whole body turned into a black crow again and flew out directly. In the end, the attack of the 4 people completely smashed into the embarrassed earth. Boom! The shocking explosion sounded, the entire Holy Land trembled wildly, the boulders pierced through the air, and countless dust rose up. The center of the venue was like a volcanic eruption, filled with dust. What's going on? Damn it! I can't see anything. Bang! Bang! Hundreds of Marines suddenly panicked, and some Marines even raised their guns and fired chaotically, and countless bullets shot into the smoke. Bastard! Stop shooting! Chapter 143 Be fearful. Ignorant human beings. The colonel roared angrily, and then the gunfire stopped. Colonel, sorry. Too horrible, out of control. It's on fire. Several Marines broke out in cold sweat. They were too afraid of the clouds in their hearts, and this kind of repeated explosions exploded in their ears, and everyone was frightened. Those Marines who were fragile in their hearts simply went off the hook. With a sullen face, the colonel quickly stood in front of Marine, who was in a mess, staring at the bloody eyes and roaring, "Bastard! This is the last time. If there is a next time, get out of the Marine headquarters directly." With a roar, all Marines were shocked, and those Marines who shot were guilty. The colonel's right arm was dripping with blood and gurgling, as if he had been shot. "Colonel, you were shot," a Marine reminded nervously. Marines, who had just fired, were in a cold sweat. They didn't just miss the gun, but injured the colonel. If they were to blame, they would have to peel off their skins if they didn't die. "I know that." The colonel gritted his teeth, his face was ashen, and his eyes seemed to burn as he stared at all the Marines. "Everyone, prepare to fight. Protect Lord Gorosei, 5 elders." "Yes." Dash 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 dash. The 4 old men stood in the deep pit, their faces ashen. Their attack was even avoided by Qin Luo again. "It's this weird black crow again. Bastard! Coward! You have the ability to fight dignifiedly. What is hiding?" The old man opened his eyes wide in horror and looked at everything in front of him in disbelief. Moo! A terrifying roar that shook the eardrums sounded from the dissipated smoke, and the smoke was split open by the sword energy of the old man with the knife. In the shocked eyes of everyone, a behemoth with a height of more than 30 meters appeared. In front of them, looking at it, it was a giant one-horned rhinoceros with a pair of black wings on its back. Under the chopped feet, the entire Holy Land trembled continuously, and the eyes of this rhinoceros were a pair of rinagons. Hiss! At the same time, on the other side, a long snake with a length of several hundred meters and a width of more than 10 meters, winding and rugged, its body surface covered with cold iron-like hard scales, stretched out a snake ladder and neighed. A pair of bizarre 3-cornered pupils did not appear, but were replaced by rinagon. The whole exudes a cold light. With the twisting and turning of the giant snake, the luxurious palace just built on the Holy Land was twisted into pieces. The huge long snake roared with an overwhelming momentum. Then, above the sky, there was a loud and long chirping, and a huge bird with blood-red wings stretched its neck and hovered over the Holy Land. Its wings were overwhelming, and under the agitation, the wind whistled, and the entire Holy Land was swept by the hurricane. More than the phoenix Marco, the undead phoenix is much larger, and its momentum is astonishing. The weak marine was blown up and down by the violent wind and waves, and was blown into the sky. In front of Gorosei, 5 elders, a huge lizard crawls over. Its thick and long tongue is like an iron rope. Under the swing, the surrounding houses are smashed into pieces, and the lizard's eyes are also smashed into pieces. It's Rinnegan. Moo! The giant rhino let out a deafening roar, and the whole earth trembled wildly. Under its feet, a series of shocking deep impressions were stepped out. It opened its mouth and spit out a large amount of ultra-high temperature like volcanic lava. The white breath of the air, and everything around it, turned into a sea of heat waves. Fear, ignorant humans. Qin Luo stood with his hands behind his back, standing on the ruins. His eyes were indifferent, like a master. Damn, what's going on? The scarred old man in the Gorosei, 5 elders shrank his pupils and was surprised by the sudden appearance of such a huge creature. Look at their eyes, they are all lavender pupils in circles. Bastard. So, this is all summoned by Qin Luo's kid. The 4 old men were all ready to fight, as if they were facing a deadly enemy. What kind of eyes are they? Who can tell me? I have lived for 800 years and have never seen such eyes. Could it be, we missed something, or, something happened? Humph. This kid's family must be clarified, otherwise, it will always be a hidden danger to us. First get rid of the kid in front of you and save the bald guy, let's talk about it. Gorosei, 5 elders, you say a word, I say a word, and then, at the same time, set off at the same time, roaring towards Qin Luo above the ruins. Seeing this, Qin Luo couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth and smiled lightly. Let them taste the strength of other worlds. Qin Luo made a move with one hand, and suddenly, the 4 violent beasts seemed to be summoned, rushing towards the 4 old men. Their bodies were as fast as lightning. The rhino ran wild, and the ground shattered. The serpent snaked its way and swept across the palace. 4 domineering giant creatures rushed forward. Before the Gorosei, 5 elders came, they had completely appeared beside Qin Luo, a pair of Rinnegan exuding a cold luster, staring at the 4 old men. Moo. Hiss. Bastard. These creatures are completely under Qin Luo's control. If we want to defeat Qin Luo, we must kill these ghosts. I've had enough. I'm coming. The sword-wielding old man swiped his robes, and the treasured sword flew rapidly, and the surging sword chi roared out one after another, attacking indiscriminately. Boom. 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 Dozens of knives were slashed, all of which were resisted by the 4 beasts. Those thrilling swords were enough to slash over Vice Admiral and hit the 4 beasts, leaving only a few faint traces on their bodies. Did not cause much substantial damage. What? Is the body so strong? The old man with the knife shrank his pupils, and then he seemed to be in a fit of rage, and roared wildly, I don't believe it, I can't kill you. As the distance approached, the blue veins on the old man's face burst out, and he firmly held the long knife. Under the eyes of everyone, the long knife was cut out at an extremely fast speed, and dozens of luminous slashes converged together to form a tyrant. The absolute golden arc-shaped sword chi carries a powerful impact in its sharpness. Facing the tyrannical slash of the old man with the knife, Qin Luo calmly issued and waved his hand. Counterattack. The beast understood, and the rhino roared, spewing out a huge amount of hot air, raised its limbs, and slammed straight forward. And the giant snake also twisted its iron-like body and swept past. The giant monster bird that dominates the sky sprays flames, and under the instigation of its wings, flames that are as fierce as dragons rushed out and slammed directly into the Gorosei, 5 elders. Chapter 144 Fight. Damn, the speed is too fast, it can't attack at all. Scarface spat on the ground fiercely, the movement was too great just now, and a lot of dust floated into his mouth. What kind of weird thing is this? With such a huge size and such a fast speed, this is not normal at all. The curly-haired old man pondered, wondering if there is such a magical creature in this world. In the general consciousness of everyone, the bigger the animal, the slower the speed and the clumsier the movement, but what happened in front of them completely broke their previous cognition. Could it be that there is really a place in this world that we still discover, where this extremely powerful ethnic group lives in seclusion? Thinking of this, the 4 old men couldn't help but feel guilty for a while, and Qin Luo put too much pressure on them. However, the beasts summoned by Qin Luo did not stop attacking because of the contemplation of several people, but were a little more violent than before. The giant bird in the sky like a phoenix suddenly chirped, and the sound almost pierced the eardrums of everyone present. It hurts, what's that sound? Even from a long distance, this voice is still very strong, as if it is attacking the soul directly into the mind. The faces of the 4 closest old men were dripping with sweat, and apparently they were also trying their best to resist the mysterious sound. At the same time, the giant rhino on the ground slammed over, and for a while, the earth shook violently, as if an earthquake had occurred, and the gravel that filled the sky madly burst into the sky with the impact of the giant rhino. What kind of power is this? The Marines in the distance saw this scene, their calves couldn't help trembling. Is this the strength of the world's peak? How could manpower be against it? 3,600 tornadoes of death. The old man with the knife looked cold, held the sharp blade in front of the Hungarian, and then slammed it, and saw countless sword chi visible to the naked eye formed in an instant, and formed in a blink of an eye. A huge tornado. I'll take care of that mess. The old man with the knife said with certainty, his eyes fixed on the giant bird in the air. While speaking, the giant tornado had already covered the strange bird in midair, but the sound of the sword chi splitting the flesh did not come. Instead, the sound of gold and stone came out. The sword chi seemed to encounter something that was difficult to cut. How is this possible? The old man with the knife could not help swallowing a mouthful of saliva. He was confident that even the Hawkeye, who is called the world's #1 swordsman, would not be able to block it easily. Effortlessly broken down. It was too late and then too fast. The flame-covered wings of the giant bird violently fanned, and for a while, the sand and stones flew, and the giant tree hugged by several people was also uprooted by the gust of wind. Everyone couldn't open their eyes due to the strong wind blowing. That's not enough. The wind was like a blade, constantly cutting everything on the battlefield. Pressure barrier. The giant rhino, which was charging at extreme speed, was suddenly blocked by an invisible barrier. With a loud bang, the old man who cast the barrier turned abnormally rosy, and the corners of his mouth oozed out a strange blood. This guy's giant strength is stronger than that of a giant, and my barrier can hardly hold up. I saw that the white barrier had been hit with dense cracks like spider silk. How is this possible? The giant rhino was blocked, shook his head, took a few steps back, but then charged forward violently. PFF'd. The curly-haired old man couldn't hold on any longer, and a stream of blood spurted out of his mouth, apparently suffering a lot of internal injuries. Beast, don't be mad, eat my fist of pressure. The curly-haired old man endured the severe pain and raised his right hand, only to see a light visible to the naked eye shining brightly. The space around the fist seemed to be a little distorted. Not by extremely strong pressure. Shave, look at the fist. The old man dodged and came to the front of the giant rhino in an instant, and his right hand slammed down. For a time, the mountain rock shook, and the giant rhino was also thrown away by this violent punch. Plop. With a loud noise, the place where the giant rhino landed has become a huge pit of dozens of meters. Has it been resolved? When the curly-haired old man saw that the giant rhino was knocked into the air by himself, he thought that it had been solved successfully, and the vigilance in his heart could not help but relax a lot. Be careful. At this moment, the urgent call of Scarface suddenly came from behind. Boom. What is this sound? The curly-haired old man turned his head to look, and was instantly frightened and cracked. He saw the tail of the giant snake covered with steel-like scales swept over. The target was himself, and the terrifying sound was the tail of the snake. The sound of buildings on the ground. Before he could react, the snake's tail had already bombarded the curly-haired old man's abdomen, and then it was directly knocked out. The blood in the old man's mouth was sprayed out at no cost, and finally stopped after hitting countless giant trees. Bastard. Scar's face condensed, and blue veins burst out. Armed, Renkyaku, Tempest Kick, Guanyu. Scarface saw a moon stepped into the air, and then his right leg slammed, and a huge black blade with a width of dozens of meters instantly slashed towards the tail of the giant snake. The sharp air-breaking sound was like a life-threatening note. Because the speed was too fast, the air behind the giant blade formed a short vacuum space, and the air on both sides was injected quickly, and the violent impact was followed by a violent sonic boom. As expected of the Gorosei, 5 elders, they can attach haki to the Renkyaku Tempest Kick. Not far away, Colonel Marine stood up tremblingly from the ground, just in time to see this astonishing scene. After being stunned for a while, he remembered that the curly-haired old man was bombarded by the giant snake into an unknown corner. "What are you still doing? Hurry up and support the Gorosei, 5 elders!" the colonel yelled. On the frontal battlefield, the giant snake seemed to sense a threat, its body twisted violently, and the snake letter made a terrifying sound. Kang! Slashed at the tail of the giant snake with lightning speed. At the same time, the earth around the giant snake was also implicated. An earth-shattering explosion rose up, and the ground once again emitted gray smoke, shrouding the entire battlefield. Chapter 145 Act recklessly. As the smoke slowly dissipated, what appeared in front of everyone was a bottomless ravine, like a huge mouth that would choose someone to eat at any time, but such a violent attack had no effect on the giant snake. Just left a white mark on the terrifying scales. His Rinnegan with a lavender snake stared at the scarred face in midair, and the snake letter kept spitting, as if saying that the labor and management were angry, and the consequences were serious. Scarface swallowed a few saliva with difficulty, but he kept shouting in his heart, "How is this possible?" However, at this time, Chin Luo was watching the excitement on a pile of gravel, holding a bottle of rum in his left hand, and a meat food made of unknown sea kings in his right hand. He took a few bites from time to time. The flying stones and dust are blocked by a repulsive barrier. Is this the strength of the Gorosei, 5 elders? It's really rubbish. Chin Luo took a sip of rum, smashed his mouth, and thought to himself. Dong dong dong. The earth shook violently again, and the giant rhinoceros that had been bombarded into a deep pit of dozens of meters didn't know when to climb up. There was no scar on his body. It seemed that the curly-haired old man's attack on it was ineffective at all. God, what kind of monster is this? No matter how you fight it, you can't kill it, and it seems that these beasts can't feel pain. Colonel Marine directed the Marines to bombard the huge lizard with cannons, but everything was like scratching the lizard. The lizards didn't even look at them and were completely ignored. I don't believe that these monsters can't be killed. The old man with the straight beard was confused by what happened in front of him. Although he said that he wanted to kill these tyrannical creatures, there was absolutely no way. Let those Marines block for a while, let's save the bald man and discuss how to deal with these creatures. The old man with the knife had been fighting the strange bird in midair for a long time, and his clothes were no longer as flat as before. One piece in one piece, barely able to cover the body, it was extremely embarrassing. The long-bearded old man nodded when he heard the words. It's time to show your justice, for the sake of the world, and for the people of Tianlong. Stop these beasts, and we'll go and deal with that coward right away. The long-bearded old man said righteously. The Marines heard the words, their hearts could not help trembling. What a joke, as the Gorosei, 5 elders. You can't beat this group of creatures of unknown origin. Let us trash fish resist, this is not a death sentence. Marine, however, dared not defy the wishes of the Gorosei, 5 elders, and could only bite the bullet. For a time, many Marine generals relied on the moon step to rise into the air, and several afterimages also rushed towards the giant rhino, as if they could really solve it. However, reality hit them hard in the face. Shigen, finger pistol. Rangkyaku, tempest kick. Quote. A variety of attacking tricks hit the giant beast, but they were useless at all. How can it be so hard? Ah, my finger is about to break. The Marines in midair were unable to grasp their direction before they got close to the giant bird, and a gust of wind blew them. Many of the people with low strength even fell directly, causing a cloud of dust to blow into the sky. This is not the end. The giant bird saw that there were still many obstructions in the sky, and immediately screamed high. The blood-red wings seemed to be burning, and then several fire dragons spewed out from the giant bird's mouth. Just in an instant, the earth seemed to be roasted, and the hot air was visible to the naked eye. Marine fell with a thump like a dumpling. On the ground, the tail of the giant snake swept violently, and hundreds of Marines, like little ants, were swept directly to the garbage heap. Cough cough. A rear admiral clutched his already bent arm and glanced at the giant bird in the sky. He managed to get close to this guy just now, but suddenly a gust of wind suddenly hit him and hit him directly on the ground. The huge impact directly broke his arm. "Curly, are you okay with your body?" The old man with the knife came to the curly old man with several flashes. Immediately after, the other two old men also came over. "Bastard. It's impossible to fight like this. The Holy Land has just been built, and after such a short time, it has become what it was before, and it is even more serious than the damage caused by Luyun." Angry, when did Gorosei, 5 elders suffer such a suffocating battle? It was like bullying. That guy was still eating, drinking and watching the fun. Seeing Qin Luo's unrestrained appearance, the old man with the scar was not angry, and shouted angrily, "You coward, hiding behind, are you afraid of us?" Qin Luo, who was watching the play, couldn't help sneering at Isho. "What a joke, I'm afraid of you. You immortal, you have some self-knowledge, okay. If I really did it, you probably won't even have a chance to fight back, and you can still be alive and screaming." Qin Luo shrugged and stared at the Gorosei, 5 elders who were in a state of misery. "HMPH, I think you're a big or small ghost, and your mouth is full of words and you won't order anything else," the old man with a knife said, adding fuel and jealousy. At this time, the old men already knew very well that if they continued to fight against these giant beasts of unknown origin, in the end the cheap ones would still be the ones watching the show, and they would be exhausted by that time. While there is still some strength, it is better to win or lose with this guy. I have to say it's a good idea. Hearing this, Qin Luo's eyes suddenly turned cold. He is really a guy who doesn't know whether to live or die. He originally wanted to play with you, but he didn't expect to think of himself so much. It seems that he is used to sitting in a high position and being comfortable. Thinking of this, Qin Luo wrapped his arms around his arms, his right hand clenched into a fist, and then he waved at the scarred face who was the first to shout, 1,000 times the repulsion, the dragon god cannon. Madly scattered away, and a vacuum was formed for a while. A white shock wave burst out from Qin Luo's right fist. The naked eye only saw a flash of brush. The old man with the scar groaned and flew backwards. He didn't know his life or death. Compared to the extremely powerful Renkyaku Tempest Kick just now, it is even more powerful. Hey, the remaining 3 old men couldn't help but gasped. How could this be possible? The power of a punch was so terrifying. For a time, a few people suddenly didn't want to continue fighting. It was a punch to solve the scar. There is no doubt that it only takes a punch to solve myself. Although I and others are not afraid of death, it does not like to endure the pain of death. I don't know whether to live or die. Qin Luo's eyes were indifferent, looking down on everything. Chapter 146, Gorosei, 5 elders confess. Except for the old man with scars who had been seriously injured and fell to the ground, the other 3 were extremely shocked and punched. The old man with scar was severely injured with 1 punch. At this moment, the 3 of them stopped at the same time and stared at the figure like a master with a solemn expression. Damn it! 1 punch will solve it. If this goes on like this, we will be killed sooner or later. Although we are not afraid of death. But that kind of pain. The beige-breathing and haired old man grimaced and gritted his teeth, but there was nothing he could do. How about we give him 150 devil fruits, let him put his bald head on, and temporarily stop this guy. The long-bearded old man pondered for a while, and said, the 5 of us together are definitely much stronger than we are now, because the lack of the bald head is not so short of a lot of combat power. Let's save the bald head first. The curly hair and the old man with the knife first frowned after hearing the words, and considered the pros and cons. At present, there is really only such a good method. Little devil, you put your bald head away, we will give you another 150 devil fruits, and you will stop. How about giving up 13 now? The long-bearded old man said to Qin Luo. Qin Luo raised his eyebrows, lacking interest. Kidding me, just want to kill me for 150 pieces, do you think I'm easy to bully? Bastard, 150 is already a lot. The old man with the knife saw that Qin Luo didn't care. He was instantly furious and planned to strike with a sword, but the knife was pressed by the beige-haired old man. Qin Luo sneered, stared at several figures on the field, and said, "It seems that you really remember what to eat and not to fight. Since you are not sincere, don't blame me for being rude." After talking about the repulsive force of the right hand, it was obvious that he was going to start the terrifying move again. Qin really wants to get rid of these guys who are in the way, but the guys who eat the fruit of life are not afraid of death at all. No matter how many times they kill them, they can be resurrected. The best way is to control it, but now there is really no way. My other gods have just used it, and it takes a month to cool down the skills. It takes so much trouble to extort Gorosei, 5 elders from the Holy Land. If you only use these 150 demons, the fruit just wanted to get rid of himself. It was too simple to think. Wait, the scarred-faced old man didn't even notice that his voice was trembling. Well, you put your bald head away. We'll give you 200 devil fruits, and we'll stop right now. The old man with the scar was really frightened, and he felt even more distressed about the 200 devil fruits in his heart. Hearing this, Qin smiled and said, "If you were so sensible earlier, would you still use such a big fight? Go get 200 devil fruits." The long-bearded old man said with a gloomy expression to Marine Rear Admiral who was not far away. 200 devil fruits intact to appear on the battlefield full of rubble. God, that's 200 devil fruits. How many masters can you make? It would be great if you gave me one. It would be worth my life. For a while, there were bursts of envy and surprise from the battlefield. "Little devil, we have already brought the things, should we put the bald head away?" The old man with the knife asked coldly. Qin is someone who keeps his promises. How could he not keep his promises? Suddenly people saw a black hole appearing in the void, as if to take people's minds away, but Qin was not affected at all. Throwing, smashing around dozens of marines. I gave it back to you. As for the devil fruit, I'll accept it with a smile." After speaking, Qin grabbed the empty space with his left hand and used gravity to suck 200 devil fruits into his own space. "Goodbye, I will come back often to see you when I have time." Qin stomped in the air, and his figure instantly disappeared from everyone's sight. Dash 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 dash. Damn brat, let him leave so cheap. That's 200 devil fruits. One of the Gorosei, 5 elders, was bleeding. The old man with the knife had gloomy eyes and a gloomy expression. The long knife in his hand suddenly slashed towards the void, and with a bang, the clouds in the entire sky were split in half. The scene was shocking. "What's the use of blowing out air now? Why don't you kill him?" The beige-haired old man roared helplessly. "Bastard, if I could chop him to death, I would have chopped him into meat sauce. Damn monster." The old man with the knife couldn't hold back any longer, and a loud roar resounded through the Holy Land. This was the first time the Marines had seen it. Furious Lord Gorosei, 5 elders. Dash 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 dash. Meanwhile, in the beautiful Sabayati archipelago, a charismatic man dressed in a black background with red clouds and a monstrous sickle hanging from his back is confronting a group of people. "Ha ha ha, where is the guy who dared to pretend to be Luyun? I laughed so hard." A pirate with yellow teeth covered his stomach and laughed. Feijuan Jianmei raised his eyebrows, his face pulled down in an instant, and he said gloomily, "Have you laughed enough? Have you laughed enough? You can go on the road." After he finished speaking, Feijuan took off the weird sickle behind him, and waved it twice, causing a gust of wind. Obviously, it was covered with blood, otherwise the taste would not be so strong. "Oh, little guy, have you been weaned yet? You dare to speak up, and you're not afraid of flashing your tongue." Haiziahaha Isho pulled out the pistol from his waist, pointed the black muzzle at Feijuan 027, and said coldly, "Little devil, it's you who should hit the road." Bang! The gunshots sounded, and the pirates blew the smoke from the muzzle in disappointment, seemingly too lazy to look at the unlucky guy who had fallen to the ground. Ding! With a crisp sound, the black projectile was easily blocked by the weird sickle. "What? Missed?" Hearing the voice, the arrogant and domineering attitude of the pirates watching the play suddenly disappeared, replaced by a strong shock. Che, are you all that capable? Feijuan said mockingly, his face full of disdain and contempt. What? How is this possible? His marksmanship can sustain hundreds of hits, why didn't he hit this time? Seeing the safe and sound Feijuan, the disdainful expression of the pirate who fired the shot suddenly solidified, and the shocking waves turned up in the bottom of my heart. Boss, I just saw this guy just waved his hand and blocked the bullet. A little scoundrel said in a panic, his tone stammered, but fortunately everyone had already understood the main meaning. What are you kidding me about, blocking the bullet with a flick of my hand? Just now, I just didn't aim and shot the bullet. The pirate leader's eyes widened in anger. He turned his head and slapped the younger brother who was talking just now, and snorted coldly, if you can't speak, don't speak, your eyes are blind. The labor and capital clearly didn't hit him seriously. Chapter 147. Tell me, who is the strongest in this world? How strong can such a young guy be? I've had more salt than he's ever eaten. The pirate leader muttered in his heart, and then fired 4 shots in a row, but all of them were easily avoided by Feijuan. Feijuan said impatiently, there's no end to it, are you running out of skills? At this time, the pirate leader was stunned to realize that his younger brother had not deceived him. That guy who pretended to be Lu Yun could really avoid his bullets. Damn, when did so many powerful newcomers emerge? Pirate leader looked ruthless and said coldly, little devil, don't think that pistol bullets can't hit you, let you see the real bullet speed. After speaking, the pirate leader threw the firearm in his hand on the ground, and took out a strange-looking metal ball from his pocket. After that, he turned it upside down in his hand, and the metal ball seemed to have received some magical power and was suspended in the air, motionless. Hee hee, little devil, there are not many people who can push me to this point. You can die under this trick, you are enough to be proud of yourself. The pirate leader Isho, his mouth full of yellow teeth, is even more disgusting. Bullet time, impact explosion. The pirate leader shouted, and saw the metal ball hanging in the air spinning rapidly, making a squeaking sound, which was caused by the violent shaking of the air. As soon as the pirate leader's voice fell, the metal ball swiped at the flying section and galloped all the way. The air along the road was rubbed by the metal ball and emitted a dazzling light. Obviously, the temperature has reached thousands of degrees Celsius. So fast. Feijuan gave a jerk, his fingers flew, and a few seals were formed in an instant. Too done, too looby. It was too late to say it, and the ground about 2 meters in front of the flying section shook violently, and the sky-shattering sand and gravel rose up, blocking the approaching weird metal ball. Bang! With a loud noise, the metal ball hit the rock-like earth wall and made a roaring explosion. The rock-hard stone wall was blown off by a small metal ball, and the flying stones scattered all over the sky. Splashed on the ground. With the thick smoke and dust, the entire battlefield became blurred, and everyone had no idea what was going on inside and how the battle was going. The thick smoke gradually dissipated, and what appeared in front of everyone was an intact mysterious guy. Little devil, it seems that you really have 2 strokes, you can take my move, but what can you do? How much can you do next? The pirate leader licked the corner of his mouth and showed a stern smile, as if devil. I thought I had enough words, but I didn't expect your grandson to say more. Do you know who I hate the most? Feijuan's chin rose and Vivi said in an arrogant tone, what I hate most is that others speak more than me. Even more, I will sacrifice you to the great evil god. Speaking of this, Feijuan's face leaked an abnormal flush. It was extremely crazy. If someone believed in religion, they could blurt it out, this is a crazy believer. The great evil god Sama will definitely like you very much. Haydn waved his scythe, his eyes full of liking for the pirate leader. Scythe method, life, Feijuan shouted, and the ground suddenly collapsed, and the man jumped into the air, holding the giant sickle in both hands and slashing in a strange arc. A faint green sword light radiated a penetrating cold light and flew towards the neck of the pirate leader. Wherever the sword light passed, the flowers, plants and trees seemed to have been subjected to years of drought. Lifeless. Hooking life, not only hooking people's lives, but all living creatures can't escape this penetrating light. Naturally, the pirate leader also noticed the changes in the flowers, plants and trees, and his complexion couldn't help but change dramatically. His rosy face suddenly turned pale and his lips trembled uncontrollably. However, hooking life didn't give him a chance at all, and the faint green sword light slowly swept across the pirate leader's body like a breeze. "It's nothing." The pirate leader touched and saw that there were no parts on his body. He couldn't help sneering and laughed. Gia, idiot, do you think you'll end up in a different place? It's too simple." Feijuan was not annoyed. He threw the scythe behind him and hung it again. "What's the meaning?" The head of the pirate was already in his heart, and when he looked down, he was so frightened that he lost his mind, and saw that his hands had become extremely dry, like an old man who was about to die. How could you have such a vicious move?" The pirate leader didn't even notice that his voice had changed. Feijuan dodged, came to the front of the pirate leader, grabbed his neck, sneered, and said, "It's really rubbish. Is the strong person in this world such a virtuous person?" "Sir, forgive me, I'm just a little pirate. Please let me go if you have a lot." At this time, the pirate leader couldn't care about his dignity, and begged for mercy humbly. "Oh yes, little pirate." Feijuan raised his eyebrows, and said with a natural character, "Tell me who is the strongest in this world, and I will spare you a dog's life." The pirate leader said in a panic, "Sir, the strongest in this world are the Gorosei, 5 elders, and I can't even match their toes." After speaking, the pirate pointed in the direction of the Holy Land. Since that's the case, you have no value in existence." Feijuan was cold and isho. His right hand exerted a little force, only to hear a click, and the head of the pirate leader had fallen weakly. "Gorosei, 5 elders, I want to see how powerful it is." Feijuan looked away, penetrated the void, looked in the direction of the Holy Land, and muttered inwardly. After that, Feijuan jumped up into the air, grabbed his right hand, and grabbed the younger brother of the pirate leader just now. "Boy, if you want to survive, take me to the Holy Land that your bullshit captain said. If you don't obey, you will end badly." Feijuan threatened with a huge sickle in one hand. Yes, my lord." The captain was already dead, and the little pirate dared to resist, so he hurriedly agreed. After that, the two quickly disappeared into the crowd, leaving a group of pirates who were sweating in cold sweat. "Who the hell is this guy? He actually wears the clothes that Lu Yunshen is wearing. Could it be that he is really Lu Yunshen? I don't think his aura doesn't look like it. Although he looks a bit like him, I still feel that he is not Lu Yunshen. He doesn't have the cold and arrogant temperament of Lu Yunshen. Damn, what kind of organization are they? I feel Lu Yun is so scary." Chapter 148 Funny Flying Section. At the same time, above the Holy Land, there are ruins. "That terrifying guy is finally gone." A Marine Rear Admiral looked glad. He didn't know if he would see the sun tomorrow if he continued to fight. "The palace that was just built has been destroyed again. Do you want to continue to rebuild it?" Mariajoy, which has become a tattered brick, many people are deeply moved. Some time ago, Gorosei, 5 elders just ordered to rebuild, but they didn't expect it to be completely destroyed by that terrifying guy. Gia. Just as everyone supported each other and waited for rescue, an unpleasant and piercing strange laughter suddenly came. "Who?" The old man with the knife gave a cold drink, his icy eyes staring at a strangely dressed guy standing on the top of the rubble. "That costume." Gorosei, 5 elders looked terrified. "It's Lu Yun." Many Marines shouted in a panic. Because of their nervousness, their voices became a strange tone, but at this time, no one laughed at him. Everyone present had almost the same virtue. After all, Lu Yun's the pressure is too great. "Lu Yun." The long-bearded old man was shocked, his beard trembled, and he hurriedly turned his head to look. "It shouldn't be that guy, it's just the same clothes." The eyes of the scarred face are better, and Feijuan feels that Feijuan has no temperament like the Lu Yun who destroyed the Holy Land that day. "I don't think it's Lu Yun. This kid doesn't have the domineering aura of Lu Yun." To the analysis of the listeners, Gorosei, 5 elders, was relieved that they were nervous at first. Just after the fight with Qin Luo, they basically have no fighting power. If Lu Yun pops out again at this time, the Holy Land it really doesn't exist anymore. Jia, I originally wanted to see how powerful the powerhouses in this world are, but I didn't expect to be like the Reservoir Dogs. It's really funny. Feijuan, who is wearing red clouds on a black background, waved the terrifying sickle with one hand, looked at the Marines who were chaotic below with contempt, and said mockingly, "Damn, where did this guy come from?" And he dared to pretend to be Lu Yun. Could it be true that he thought that the world government was gone? Many people in the Marine have heard the words of Lord Gorosei, 5 elders, and they know that this is not the suffocating cloud. While they are relieved, there is also a sense of anger being played. Courtesy of death. Doberman, who is already Rear Admiral, charged with a great sword in his hand. Lu Yun can't beat himself, Qin Luo can't beat himself, but this guy with an arrogant face can't beat himself. How can there be so many strong people in this world? Shave. Doberman's figure flashed, and he had already circled behind Feijuan. The sharp blade bearer came with a fierce whistling slash, but Feijuan didn't seem to notice it, and was still dancing and mocking everyone with crude actions. "A bunch of idiots, come over with you, Uncle Feijuan, and I'll fight." Feijuan's exaggerated appearance and exaggerated words made people want to rush up and give this guy 2 big mouths. Bazi, let him understand why Huar is so popular. Go to hell, little brat. Doberman's face was hideous, as if he had seen the scene of the disgusting guy's head being separated. Clang! There was a strange sound, and the sharp giant sword slashed on a huge stone, making an unusually harsh sound. What? Doberman was stunned. He clearly cut the arrogant guy. How did he suddenly turn into a stone? For a time, the Marines present were no different. Doberman Rear Admiral's eyes were too distracting. How could he chop at the stone? Jia, you're really not a good boy, you even attacked from behind me. Feijuan grinned strangely, his eyes full of mockery. As for Doberman's actions, Feijuan had already discovered it, but he just wanted to tease this guy. Before the attack came, he had already used the double technique and walked away. Silly big man, I'm not in the mood to fight a fish like you. I heard that you are the most powerful people called Gorosei, 5 elders. Hurry up and let them come over and play 2 tricks with me. My little brother has become. Feijuan said carelessly. Bastard, how dare you so offend Lord Gorosei, 5 elders, I think you are a birthday star who eats arsenic. Doberman was furious with Feijuan's indifferent attitude, his eyes turned red, and he wanted to choose someone to eat. Yo, you're angry, why, you're not convinced. Feijuan waved his scythe with both hands, raised his eyebrows, and said coldly, if you're not convinced, come and chop me up. If you can kill me just by talking big, I would have done it earlier. I went to see Lord Evil God. Speaking of the evil god, Feijuan's eyes are full of worship and madness. The omnipotent evil god has given himself this power that makes the world fearful, and he must find a suitable sacrifice to the great evil god. Lion blast. Doberman couldn't bear this talkative guy. Holding a giant sword, he slashed several slashes horizontally and vertically. In the end, the slashes converged into a roaring lion with its huge mouth open. The lion moved, not running wildly on the ground, but stepping in the void. The thick mane continuously scattered around, forming small but powerful wind blades, bombarding the gravel, blinking. It has turned into powder in between. This is so terrifying. The small aftermath of the lion's impact can turn the object into dust. If it is positive, it is estimated that not only can't see the bones, but even the ashes will not be left. After fighting for many years, I can naturally feel the power of the lion's impact, but I didn't take it to heart. The attack method is too simple. The straight line impact, although the speed is very fast, but I only need a blink technique to completely dodge. After that, there is really no challenge. Boom! There was a loud noise, and countless hundreds of kilograms of boulders were bombarded into the air by the lion, and the sharp mane turned into thousands of sharp swords, cutting everything in a radius of hundreds of meters indefinitely. There is nothing complete in the field, all of which have become powder. Scythe technique, catch the moon. Feijuan dodged to avoid the frontal lion's impact, and then threw the huge sickle in his hand, showing an arc of a month and a half, and cutting towards Doberman, with a faint blue light on it. Apparently full of chakra of the wind attribute. The power is really amazing, it stained the clothes I just got. Feijuan said with a slightly unhappy tone, while controlling the sickle with one hand, while looking down at his robe. Remote attack. Doberman looked at the 1.7 weird sickle that was getting closer, and made a judgment in his heart. But this speed is too slow, it is easy to hide with Rokushiki shaving. However, when Doberman wanted to avoid the scythe, his eyes swept to the cruel smile flowing from the corner of the mysterious man's mouth. Looking at the moon, first embrace. What? Doberman looked at the scythe, his heart horrified, only to see the scythe that was still some distance away from him, as if it had come to life, a tremor, and instantly formed several faint blue slashing waves, surrounding him in a ring. Come here, no matter which direction you flee in, it is impossible to hide in the past. For a time, Doberman had to choose hard resistance. Jia, Fei Duantian glanced at the corner of his mouth, and waited for this time. Chakra, which is full of wind attributes, has the ability to cut everything. How can your body and body be able to withstand it? It's naive. Chapter 149. The old man will meet you for a while. Armed, iron, Doberman shouted, his hands instantly turned black, and other parts also turned into a striking bronze. Zizizi, the sickle-shaped slashing wave kept cutting Doberman's incomparably dark arm, making a harsh and sharp cry. The sickle in the distance didn't stop at all, and the blue slashes burst out to replenish what had been consumed. It didn't take long for Doberman's arm to turn from black to gray, and the color slowly dimmed. Jia, Feijuan laughed and said, I want to see how long you can last. See, a crisp sound seemed so harsh in the chaotic cutting, and I saw that Doberman's arm had already seeped a layer of bright blood. Can't stand it anymore. Doberman was very flustered in his heart, and the sweat on his forehead came out in a flash. Where did this guy come from? How can he be so strong? And he didn't even have the strength to fight back. The slashing wave was getting closer and closer to Doberman's body. At this moment, Doberman's whole body had turned into a blood man, and the cloak of justice had already been broken into pieces. Hurry up and support Doberman, or else he will be killed by that guy. The old man with the knife glared angrily. Naturally, he couldn't watch his subordinates get killed like this. Although he was a little dissatisfied with Doberman's strength, but in front of so many people still have to be saved. Thinking of this, the old man with the knife no longer hesitated, pulled out the strange long knife around his waist, and waved his right hand vigorously, and a slashing wave several meters high instantly formed and flew towards the strange sickle. Along the way, chopping waves seemed to cut through the earth, flying sand and stones, leaving a trench several meters deep. What a troublesome guy. Feijuan looked gloomy when he saw someone helping out. He didn't want his precious sickle to be destroyed, so he stretched his right hand back, and the giant sickle flew back flexibly. As for Doberman, he collapsed to the ground, spitting blood, and he didn't even have a piece of good flesh on his body. If it took a few more seconds, it would be almost like the execution of Lin Kai. Damn, you bastard, you dare to call Marine Rear Admiral like this, I think you are tired of living. The scarred-faced old man shouted angrily. Shigen Finger Pistol, King of the Eights. A huge shock wave burst out from the fingers of the scar-faced old man, and a powerful momentum instantly filled the entire battlefield. Who was in the center, looked straight, and looked at the 5 old men who were in a state of distress with interest. Knowing that this was the Gorosei 5 elders he was looking for, he couldn't help snorting. 3,600 tornadoes of death. The old man with the knife is not to be outdone. It seems that any cat or dog can provoke the world authority. If you don't show them a little color, do you really think that the world government is a soft persimmon that is easy to bully? What the hell? Feijuan looked at the giant tornado that shot up into the sky and the ape king who was several meters tall. Vivi shuddered in his heart. He was indeed a strong man, and he was really much stronger than those dog, shit and fish pirates. The momentum is comparable to the forbidden technique. It seems that he has to come up with some real skills. The tornado roared with the sand and gravel on the ground. The whining sound made people tremble. The shock wave of the Ape King not far away turned into a light wave and whistled towards the mysterious man. Scythe, shield. I saw Feijuan turn the bloody March sickle Vivi in his hand, circled in a circle, and a dark red barrier was instantly formed. In the blink of an eye, the slashing wave from the old man with the knife had already roared, and the innumerable sand and stone blocks that carried them squeaked, resembling the resentful roar of the evil ghost in the abyss of hell. Clang clang. The strong wind blade cut on the dark red barrier and made a screeching sound. This is not the end. The Ape King with a height of several meters has already run to Feijuan's side. Ow! The Ape King made an earth-shattering cry, and the white clouds in the sky were shaken by this huge sound wave. Boom! With a loud bang, the flying section suspected of Lu Yun was bombarded hundreds of meters away by an unknown force, leaving a terrifying scratch on the ground. Cough cough. Feijuan stood up slowly. His eyes seemed a little cautious. It seemed that he really underestimated the powerful people in this world. This is just two old men who can force themselves into this state. If they do, what about 5 people shooting together? You must know that this world is the strong prey to the weak, and it doesn't care about anything to bully the less. Feijuan, who has spent a bloody storm in the Naruto world, is very clear about this. I can't play long-range battles with them. It's really a big loss for me. Feijuan wiped the blood on the corner of his mouth and made up an idea in his heart. After all, he is good at fighting techniques. If he can gain an advantage in a fight with such a group of people who like to play from a distance, unless the difference in strength is too great, but according to the current situation, look, you're really not that material. Suddenly Feijuan's eyes narrowed, staring at the old man with the knife, and muttered in his heart, since you are holding a knife, it means that you are playing melee combat, just to compare with my bloody March sickle. A group of shameless people, is it possible that they like to bully more or not? Although Feijuan is impulsive, it does not mean that he is stupid. At this time, it is best to hit 287 one by one. In fact, at this time, Gorosei 5 elders already had a lot of doubts in their hearts, whether this guy is Lu Yun. After all, his strength is obvious to all. In the past, how powerful Lu Yun was, 5 of them could not beat them together, but now only it was the old man with the knife and the old man with a scar that 2 people shot. They could trap this mysterious guy to death, unable to use any skills. Thinking of this, a cold light flashed in the eyes of the old man with the knife, and he said to the 4 old men behind, I will meet this guy, he has too many doubts. If it is Lu Yun, it means that he is deliberately showing weakness. If not, then it must have a lot to do with Lu Yun. The remaining Gorosei 5 elders are also very clear about the strength of the sword-wielding old man. Even if this mysterious guy is really that bastard Lu Yun, there is nothing to worry about, the big deal is to be reborn once. So everyone nodded their heads, indicating their agreement with this opinion. Boy, don't be arrogant, the old man will meet you. The old man with the knife shouted angrily, stepping on the moon step and rushing over. When Feijuan saw the visitor, there was a sly smile on the corner of his mouth. I have to say that these guys are stupid enough to die. They can give themselves whatever they want. If they don't kill him and sacrifice to the heretic god, it would be too inappropriate. For a time, Feijuan's facial expressions became very exciting. Chapter 150 Fake Cloud. Boy, I have to say that you have a lot of courage. I just don't know if you are a master of art and bold, or if you are just a young calf and are not afraid of tigers. The old man with the knife had already galloped to Feijuan's eyes while he spoke, with a long and strange sword in his hand. Exudes a terrifying cold light. Chong. Feijuan blocked the sharp knife with the bloody March sickle in his hand, his face darkened, and he said coldly in his heart, I didn't expect a man to be so strong at his age, it's really surprising. Old man, I said that you should go home and hug your grandson as soon as you are old, and enjoy your family's happiness. What are you doing here? do you do something disrespectful to the old man every day? Feijuan's poisonous mouth kept chattering, but the fight between the two did not stop. The old man with the knife was so angry at Feijuan's words. How could he talk at such a young age? How did he teach him when he was so unvirtuous? Rankyaku Tempest Kick, smashed the sky. I saw that after the long knife in the hand of the old man with the knife hit the flying scythe, it jumped into the air with force, and then slammed his right leg, and a silver-white slashing wave was formed instantly, which bombarded the flying section directly below. Go. It's good. Feijuan sneered. Scythe, shield. The dark red shield formed again, which was a bit brighter than before, as if blood would drip down at any time. What a strong smell of blood, did you smell it? The long-bearded old man looked solemn, sniffed the air, and glanced at the two who were fighting not far away. Yes, since that guy entered the arena, the smell of blood gradually became stronger. It seems that this guy is not a kind person at all. At this time, the mustache and bald head eased a little, although his expression was still a little sluggish, but eyes are very spiritual. I don't know how many wrong souls this guy has. Even if he is Lu Yun, what can he do? Today I will call on the name of justice and punish this villain. The old man with scars said bitterly, when did Gorosei, 5 elders do this? Feeling aggrieved, anyone can bully him. It's been a long time, how can I deter Xiao Xiao? Hearing the words of the old man with scar, the curly-haired old man did not say a word. He didn't know whether he agreed with him or opposed it, but judging from the expression on his face, he did not agree with some of what he said. Are you kidding me? Grievances, no more died at the hands of the Gorosei, 5 elders than he did. It's funny how many he can kill. 3,600 tornadoes of death. The giant tornado formed again, and it almost moved towards the flying section supporting the shield with the momentum of sweeping the 8 wastes. The holy land that had been destroyed and nothing left was baptized again by the wind blade. There was nothing left to destroy on the ground, only the bare surface was left, but the gust of wind seemed dissatisfied, and it was only willing to give up if it blew a little something. The gravitational force of the black hole is the same, and it is moving closer to the hurricane. After a while, the ground where the huge wind passes is several meters lower than other places. Damn it, old man, you can't finish, you can't do anything other than this trick, I've had enough of you. Feijuan shouted extremely impatiently. Little devil, don't be rude, take my trick and talk about it. The old man with the knife was not angry, the demon knife in his hand was still swinging, the giant tornado grew stronger and stronger, and the wind howled, as if he wanted to tear the world apart. Just like opening a mouth. It's done, it's done, it's done. Feijuan covered his head and looked at the hurricane that was getting closer and closer. Everything seemed to be panicked. Old man, accept your magical powers, I will admit defeat. Feijuan folded his hands together with a look of pleading. What are you doing so early? I said it at this time, it's too late. The old man with the knife had a smug look on his face. In his opinion, he was able to label Lu Yun as such a virtue, and he really had the capital to brag. Hey, I tell you not to go too far, you have to forgive people and forgive them, do you know? Feijuan seemed a little exasperated, and said cursingly, if I can't live, you won't be much better. For the threat of this mysterious guy, the old man with the knife might as well take it to heart, he was just struggling to death. It seems that everything is over. Naturally, the long-bearded old man also saw the ugly appearance of the mysterious man, and he had some doubts in his heart. Could this guy really not be Lu Yun? If so, how could his strength be so poor? Just the old man with the knife, how could someone beat him like this? For a time, all kinds of questions came to mind. Hey, since you old boy doesn't know what to do, don't blame me for being rude. Feijuan changed his normal state, no longer the obedient appearance just now, but became fearless. There's weirdness. Regarding the change in Feijuan's expression, the old men outside the battlefield could see clearly, knowing that this mysterious man must be deceitful. Be careful. The old man with the scar couldn't help shouting into the air, but his voice seemed insignificant in front of the giant tornado, and people couldn't hear what he was saying at all. Closer, closer. Feijuan's eyes were crazy, and he actually resuspended the weird weapon behind him, ready to embrace the earth-shattering huge wind roll with both hands. Is he crazy? Is it possible that you know that you are not an opponent and want to give yourself a decent way to die? Ninja, substitute technique. The violent wind raised a huge amount of dust, and people couldn't see what happened in the center of the field, and naturally they couldn't see the little change of Feijuan's fingers before the storm came. As a shadow-level powerhouse in the Naruto world, Feijuan's three-body technique can be said to be consummate and easy to use. Ah! A scream suddenly emerged from the dust in the sky, and even covered the angry wind roar. Are you done? Hearing the unusually shrill scream, many Marines felt relieved, as if the mysterious guy had been cut into powder. No wonder everyone thought so, because at this time the corner of the tornado became extremely bright, which was caused by the redness of the blood. The old man standing in the air naturally saw this scene, and the demon sword in his hand stopped waving. After a while, the huge wind disappeared on this white land. If it weren't for the terrifying gulf on the ground, people would they all wondered if there was a battle just now. Where's that guy? The scarred-faced old man asked. It should be broken into pieces. The long-bearded old man said somewhat uncertainly. He had a deep understanding of this move of the knife-wielding old man. A tornado of that level would not have any life to survive. Chapter 151. The fun is just beginning, isn't it? The old man with the knife looked at the extremely empty battlefield, and Vivi breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. Although that guy is very strong, even Marine Admiral is not necessarily his opponent, but compared with himself, it is not a star and a half, and he is alive. In 800 years, he has never seen anything in the world, and his combat experience is incomparably rich. How can he be compared to a shrewd boy? What about Colonel Ron? Why did people suddenly disappear? Just when everyone relaxed their vigilance, a surprised shout suddenly came from the crowd. What's the matter? The long-bearded old man's eyes were sharp, and he soon noticed that there was some disturbance in the marine. My lord, the soldiers below reported that Colonel Ron had mysteriously disappeared during the previous battle. Disappeared. For a time, the long-bearded old man couldn't help but cast a shadow over his heart, and hurriedly asked in a cold voice, when exactly did it disappear? Well, it seems like it's at the last minute of the battle. What? The long-bearded old man suddenly took a breath, and a bad premonition suddenly swept his body. No, that guy isn't dead, he just used a special move to swap places with Colonel Ron Marine. The old man with the knife roared through gritted teeth. Hearing this, the cold hair of the long-bearded old man trembled instantly. Could there be such an ability in this world to be able to exchange his position with someone else's? Because the idea is too bizarre, and he is not sure whether his guess is correct or not. The venue where the Marines are located. Who are you? Just as people were frantically looking for Colonel Ron, a lieutenant junior grade suddenly found a guy in rags sitting not far from Colonel Ron's disappearance. Wait, that costume, the black robe Red Cloud. Wow, the crowd seemed to explode, the Marines couldn't believe their eyes. How could this be possible? Isn't that guy already dead? He watched as he turned into powder. What's the noise? The noise is dead. Feijuan raised his eyebrows, and his eyes exuded murderous aura. Really, it was too much care just now. Thinking of this, Feijuan felt annoyed. This is one of the few clothes that I have. If it is broken, I have to buy it. Hey, I have no money in my pocket. Little, maybe you can deceive a part of it by saying something nice. Marine Lieutenant Junior Grade hugged her head in horror and screamed loudly. Come on, that mysterious guy is not dead, he is still alive, right here. Swung the bloody March side with one hand, and chopped off the head of that Marine Lieutenant Junior Grade in one fell swoop. I told you a long time ago, it's too loud, I hate people who talk more than me, it's annoying, even though I'm annoying myself. However, at this time, the Marines had already gathered around, but no one dared to rush up. After all, How could a guy who can be on an equal footing with Gorosei, 5 elders, be able to solve it himself? But Feijuan was very unhappy with the feeling of being surrounded by people. He waved the bloody March sickle with both hands and shouted, "A group of little minions, getting in the way here, it's really annoying, go and see the evil god for me." Speaking, a scarlet slash charged towards the Marines. With a swipe, before everyone could react, they saw their body leaning toward the ground, and they were still curious about how they had suddenly become like this when they were apparently fine, but then the question was answered, hundreds of meters away. The space was cleared by Feijuan's slash, and the surrounding Marine was all cut in half by the sharp sword light. The blood from the fallen corpse soaked through the soft ground and slowly converged into a river composed of blood. The power of a single blow is so terrifying. "Old man, the battle between us is not over yet. Don't look like a winner, it's disgusting to look at." Feijuan flicked the bloodstains on the bloody March sickle. The attack just now indeed stained a lot dirty stuff. "Bastard, you bastard." When the knife-wielding old man saw Marine who had died many times, his eyes suddenly turned red. "Che, I really thought I was dying. Let me tell you, Lord Cthulhu won't let me hang up like this so easily. The move you just performed was really powerful, and I was panicked when I saw it, but this kind of thing doesn't make any sense. It's a terrifying move, only a fool would do it head-on." Feijuan kept irritating the old man with the knife with his words, obviously complimenting the old man's greatness, but in fact he was touting himself. "Tisk tisk tisk, that guy is really pitiful. He was killed by your own people, and he couldn't even find a whole body. Hey, please allow me to observe 3 seconds of silence." Feijuan said triumphantly. "Okay, 3 seconds have passed, and then it's time for me to attack. Old man, you can take good care of it. I just said very clearly, you have to forgive others and forgive them. Since you are so cruel, don't blame me for being rude." After he finished speaking, a cloud of gray smoke instantly rose from the place where Feijuan was. When the smoke cleared, his figure had long since disappeared. Just when the late old man opened his eyes wide and wanted to look carefully for the mysterious guy, a muffled sound suddenly came from the soles of his feet. "Too done, the art of beheading in the heart." "What?" Before the old man with the knife could react, he saw 2 arms burst out from under his feet, pulling his legs and pulling them down. Unpredictable, the old man with the knife was pulled half of his body by this strange trick, but he quickly reacted, and the demon knife in his hand inserted into the soft ground without hesitation. "Ghost shock," the old man with the knife shouted violently, and the demon saber in his hand vibrated at a very high frequency. The surrounding earth seemed to respond, and it also swayed. The net was densely torn apart, and taking advantage of this opportunity, the old man with the knife quickly jumped out of the ground, but still scratched a little skin on his thigh. "Little devil, is this your way of attacking? I have to say that it surprised me." The old man with the knife looked sullen, and it was obvious that he had been sullen just now. So many people present seeing themselves being dragged into the ground. What would happen to the name Gorosei, 5 elders, if it got out? "Hey hey," Feijuan laughed, fresh blood dripping from the jet black spear in his hand. "Old man, don't worry, the show has just begun." Feijuan calmly brought the pitch-black spear close to his mouth, stuck out his tongue, licked the blood on it, and then pierced his palm with the spear and drew it on the ground. "What does it mean?" Seeing the mysterious man self-harm, the Gorosei, 5 elders who were watching suddenly had a bad feeling in their hearts, but they couldn't tell. In the blink of an eye, a circle was drawn with blood on the ground, and there was a triangle in it. As for Feijuan, he stood at the center of the circle, grinning at the old man with the knife. The show has just begun, isn't it? Chapter 152 Weird Move. Looking at the mysterious man's smile, the old man with the knife couldn't help but look awkward. Although he didn't know what this guy meant, he could vaguely have a bad feeling in his heart. "What the hell are you doing? Give me death!" The old man with the knife shouted and charged with the knife. Facing the aggressive attitude of the old man with the knife, Feijuan was quite arrogant, and even threw aside the bloody March sickle in his hand. Vivi closed his eyes and seemed to be enjoying the warm sunshine after the war. "It's weird. The long-bearded old man has been observing the battle between the two people. Although there has been a back and forth, the mysterious man has always been at a disadvantage and was pressed and beaten by the old man with the knife, but this suspected, Luyun, the guy's weird tricks are endless, and he can escape the murder every time. This time, there is inevitably something that people can't understand. Hearing what the long-bearded old man said, the old man with the scarred face turned straight, and he recalled the scene just now in his mind, and he was extremely annoyed. To be honest, fighting against this kind of person is the most disgusting thing. Although you know that person is not your opponent, but you can't fight others with all kinds of martial arts, you have to say that it is frustrating. Little devil, die, this time I want to see how you escaped. The old man with the knife looked sharp. He knew how this mysterious guy escaped his enhanced version of the 3600 Path Death Dragon Tornado. I also know very well in my heart that if I still use long-range attacks on this guy, maybe the same trick will appear again. Weakness. In fact, Feijuan is also very clear in his heart that he seems to be a little overbearing. The Gorosei, 5 elders in this world are really too strong, but they have reached this point. According to his temper, how could he shrink back? Anyway, he is immortal. The body, what is so terrible, the great evil god is blessing himself. PFF'd. Hem tilde. Along with the sound of a sword piercing into the flesh, the muffled sound of someone being injured even attracted people's attention. Your knife is so sharp, it hurts me so much. No, 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 I'm going to die, who can save me? Feijuan covered the place where the demon knife had stabbed with a nervous expression on his face. However, the old man with the knife was kneeling on the ground with his chest covered. If it weren't for the demon knife in his hand, he might have fallen to the ground at this time. How is this possible? The old man with the knife widened his eyes angrily, ignoring the blood flowing from the corners of his mouth, staring at the mysterious man, thinking in his heart how this guy did it, why he was injured, he clearly no shot. What's the matter, why are you kneeling on the ground? The long-bearded old man was startled and couldn't help but say in surprise. It's not very clear, did any of you see that mysterious guy make a move just now? Gorosei, 5 elders were startled at the endless strange tricks of someone. At this time, the knife-wielding old man was suddenly injured inexplicably. Could it be the enemy's strange trick? Jia Jia Jia. Feijuan burst out laughing, and released his palm from the wound. I seem to be fine. Old man, what's wrong with you? Have you had a heart attack? Do you want me to call a doctor for you? Haydn pretended to be concerned with his unusually underwhelming voice. How did you do it? The old man with the knife endured the pain and stood up swayingly. The blood from the wound had been stopped by unknown means, but even so, the old man with the knife had a serious expression on his face. Still pale, obviously the power of the knife just now was too great. Oh, why should I tell you? How old you are, only the great evil god knows. Do you need me to send you to see evil god and let him tell you? Feijuan said mockingly, when I was a second fool no, if you ask me, I'll say it. Little devil, you are too arrogant. The old man with the knife gritted his teeth secretly, and now he still thinks that he was accidentally attacked, but this kid used a mysterious method, and he didn't notice it. Be arrogant, otherwise it's different from salted fish, although it is said that salted fish is still salted fish. Balabala, Feijuan seems to be interested, and he keeps talking, which makes people tired. With a stinky mouth, it is estimated that no one wants to fight with him. The 36 demon swords, frightening the dragon. The old man with the sword shaved away the distance between him and the mysterious man. The demon sword in his right hand slashed several times in the air, and in the blink of an eye, a golden yellow dragon appeared. It appeared in the air, as if a raging flame was burning on the body. Dragon attack! The old man with the knife shouted violently, and the demon knife in his hand pointed to the direction of Feijuan. The golden yellow dragon was like a living creature. After hearing the instructions of the old man with the knife, it gave a long whistle and swooped away from the string. The speed was so fast that only a golden flash was left behind. The slashing wave was completely destroyed, and even the ground was crystallized, and a lot of glass appeared. A slash even carries an elemental attack, and the ability to crystallize the soil can only mean that the temperature is as high as thousands of degrees Celsius. Hey, old man, I have to say that your skills are really gorgeous, and you look beautiful. You will definitely make a lot of money when you set off fireworks during the holidays. Listen to me. For the roaring giant dragon, Feijuan was not in a hurry, and even had free time to chat and laugh with the old man with the knife. For the unreliable suggestion made by someone, the old man with the knife almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Look at the fireworks, I see you paralyzed. Today I will show you how beautiful the fireworks are. The giant dragon opened its mouth, and the small flying segment couldn't even match the gap between its teeth in front of it. Ow! The incomparably mighty and fierce sword energy spewed out from the dragon's mouth, like raindrops, brushing continuously. The ground was full of potholes by this almost saturated attack, as if it had been bombarded by a meteorite group, for a while. The place where the flying section is located shakes the dust in the sky. Then the giant dragon seemed to have spit out the sword energy in its belly, and turned itself into a fierce shock wave, bombarding towards Feijuan. Ah! A scream came suddenly, and the demon saber in the hands of the old man with the saber suddenly fell to the ground, and at the handle of the saber, there was an arm that was fresh and blood spurting wildly. Wait, how could the arm be on the ground? For a time, people's eyes shifted to the old man with the knife who was screaming, and they were shocked. I saw that the old man with the knife was holding his broken arm and screaming miserably at this moment. That voice was truly horrific. What's going on? Said the old man with scars in horror. Several Gorosei, 5 elders present, were masters of observation haki, and they could all sense that the mysterious man just didn't even move. Chapter 153. Throw yourself into the arms of the evil god. Jia Jia Jia. Feijuan's laughter radiated through the dust mist in the sky. It was unusually deafening, making people tremble in the heart. Old man, do you feel good? I've said it a long time ago, don't go too far, or I'll let you eat and walk around. Do you feel the horror of the evil gods now? The dust gradually dissipated, and Feijuan, who was missing an arm, was standing in the weird symbol, laughing wildly. What's going on? The long-bearded old man was startled. Why did this guy's arm also break? Could it be that? For a time, the scene of Colonel Ron's mysterious disappearance just now appeared in everyone's mind. Could this guy transfer the opponent's attack to someone else? How is this possible? Curly-haired old man whispered to himself. Where did this guy come from? Is it Lu Yun? Now the doubts in people's hearts are even greater. Just now, I was a little convinced that he is not Lu Yun. After all, the difference in strength is too great, but now people's impressions have changed a bit. The good show has just begun. Old man, are you ready? Although 12 is missing an arm, it has no effect on Feijuan at all. He can't feel the pain at all. The aloof old guy took it. After speaking, Feijuan took out the weird-looking pitch-black spear from his arms again, and slowly aimed it at his thigh, as if he was going to stab it at any time. What is this guy going to do? Bald-headed bearded man was suddenly shocked. His beard trembled, and hurriedly said, "Hurry up and stop him." Stop him. The scarred-faced old man was stunned when he heard the words. Have you been provoked too much by that guy Qin Luo? Obviously this kid wants to self-harm. Why should we stop it? Wouldn't it be better to watch the show on the side? However, the bald-headed and bearded old man looked anxious and said angrily, "You haven't seen it clearly now. This guy can transfer the damage that others attacked to him to the opponent, and now he is ready to self-harm. You say who will be hurt in the end?" Hearing the words of the bald-headed mustache old man, the remaining Gorosei, 5 elders, were shocked, and they carefully recalled the scene just now, and they seemed to be inseparable. Jia Jia, the game has started, so let's start with the right thigh first. Can you tell me? Feijuan laughed wildly. His left hand holding the jet-black spear slammed upwards, and then accompanied by Kochi with a strange sound, the pitch-black spear came out. Ah tilde. The old man with the knife, who was already kneeling on the ground and screaming in agony, screamed again, and saw that his right leg seemed to be penetrated by some sharp weapon. You can see the white bones. Sure enough, the old man with the scar was startled, looking at Feijuan, who was laughing wildly, no longer hesitating in his heart, and several flashes came to Feijuan in succession. Bastard, stop quickly, do you want to die? The old man with the scarred face shouted sharply. Jia Jia, Lord Heretic God will not accept me, Lord Heretic God prefers me to sacrifice fresh life for him. Feijuan said with a flamboyant expression, not paying any attention to the threat of Scarface. This time it's the left leg. Feijuan turned to lift the pitch-black spear in his hand again, and then slammed it down quickly. The knife-wielding old man couldn't hold on any longer. His body froze, and he fell to the ground, and the bright red blood stained his whole body in a short while. Bastard, I told you to stop. The scarred-faced old man was furious when he saw that his words were ignored. Shigen, finger pistol, Gurren. I saw a strange red breath burst out from the fingers of the scarred-faced old man, and in an instant a slowly rotating 9-petal lotus flower was formed, but this lotus was not the noble and pure white that appeared from the mud, but it exudes awe, like a lotus flower that grows from the depths of hell. It's too late and it's fast. Although the lotus rotates very slowly, the speed of the attack is amazingly fast, and it has already bombarded Feijuan's chest in the blink of an eye. Boom. This time, Feijuan still did not do any resistance, and let the opponent attack him. Is the knife scar on it? Don't you know that his attack will be attached to the old man with the knife? For a time, the long-bearded old man who was standing not far away said angrily. Sure enough, Feijuan, who was at the center of the attack, although his body was abnormally embarrassed, his eyes were bright and his body was broken, but it seemed to have no effect on him at all. However, the half-body of the old man with the knife lying on the ground was directly he was blasted into pieces, and the remaining half of his body seemed to twitch a few times from time to time, and he couldn't even let out a scream. He could only scream, ho, ho. When the old man with scar saw this scene, he knew that he had fallen for this kid's tricks. He originally wanted to prevent the mysterious man from continuing to self-mutilate, but what he didn't expect was that he was actually provoked by this evil and awe-inspiring guy. Yo-hoo-hoo, you're really cruel, you're just half deaf to your partner. I'm much gentler in comparison. Look, it's been all this time, I just want him an arm and two he has a leg, but at least I can guarantee that most of the parts of this guy's body still exist. Look at you, this rough guy, he directly blew away 1.5 of people. Although Feijuan only has half of his body left. As for the rest, they all turned into a pile of rotten meat, scattered around, but they were still excited, as if this damage was no different from scratching to him. Have you heard the call of Lord Cthulhu? At this moment, Feijuan closed his eyes slightly, as if he was really listening. Lord Cthulhu told me that it's time, did you hear it? What is the time? For a time, the scarred-faced old man was a little confused by the mysterious man's actions. Jia Jia, the game is over, dead old man, die for me, throw yourself into the arms of the great evil god. At this moment, Feijuan suddenly opened his eyes showed madness, and raised his hand. The pitch-black spear poked towards the heart with lightning speed. PFF'd. The pitch-black spear came out through the body, and even brought out a trace of flesh and blood, which looked extremely terrifying. At the same time, the old man with the knife fell to the ground like a cat whose tail was trampled on. The half of his body bowed suddenly, and then it fell weakly, causing a puff of dust to sway. Bastard, I'm going to kill you. The old man with scars finally understood what this guy's call was about, but it was too late. Chapter 154 What to See. Are you jealous of how handsome I am? How could the Gorosei 5 elders be defeated? That guy's body looks like that, and he can still talk and laugh. Is he a monster? Listening to the discussions from the Marines, the long-bearded old man's face became extremely ugly. He didn't expect that this wicked guy would kill one of the Gorosei 5 elders. If they had known that this kid was so powerful, they would have also. I don't care, but it's too late to say anything. Looking at the old man with a knife who had become a pile of minced meat, everyone suddenly felt a kind of sadness. Although a few people will not really die, everyone knows that death is not terrible, the terrible thing is waiting for death. Process, and the feeling of death when it comes, that is the most tormenting. How is that guy? The bald-headed old man's face was ashen, and his heart burst with anger. At the same time, he was also glad. Fortunately, it was not him who rushed up just now. Different head. Still alive and kicking, Scar's face was full of anger. To a certain extent, he really killed the old man with the knife. After all, he smashed half of his body to pieces. Seeing the gloomy face of the old man with scars, everyone remained silent, knowing that he was not in a good mood at this time. Go and have a look. The long-bearded old man pondered for a while, wanting to confirm whether it was Lu Yun who offended the Holy Land. Gorosei, 5 elders also held back a bunch of anger in their hearts. Fighting can be made into this virtue, and it is not shameful to lose. This is still won by bullying less. If this guy heads up one-on-one, it is estimated that Gorosei, 5 elders will be defeated. The group is gone. In a few breaths, the 4 of them had come to Feijuan's side. Looking at the mysterious man who didn't have a piece of good flesh on his body, they couldn't help but gasped. What kind of monster is this guy, who is so badly injured that nothing happens? Stop joking. What are you looking at? Are you jealous of how handsome I am? Feijuanzui, who only had half of his body left, kept talking, not worried about his current situation at all. Boy, are you Lu Yun? The long-bearded old man said in a firm tone. In fact, he didn't have a clue in his heart, he just wanted to cheat. Lu Yun. Feijuan Vivi was stunned for a moment, then turned to laugh out loud. Have you got water in your head? Oh, no, after all, you guys are getting old, to be precise, your eyes are dim and your brain is not working well. Quote. Hearing Feijuan's words, the face of the scarred-faced old man suddenly became extremely dark. For more than 800 years, no one has dared to speak to him like this. Just because you still want to catch Master Lu Yun, don't dream of spring and autumn, just because you, Feijuan, I can turn you upside down. Feijuan said extremely frantically, then frowned. It seems that something unhappy happened. Hey, that bald head, please let me go, you stepped on my arm, don't you know it will hurt a lot? When the bald head heard it, he was stunned for a moment. He glanced down, and his heart tightened. He saw that he had been breaking his hand under his feet and was scratching hard, as if to resist the fact that someone was stepping on it. Hi. For a time, Gorosei, 5 elders were all shocked. What the hell was going on, knowing that this hand was obviously broken? The curly-haired old man turned his attention to the other parts of the mysterious man, and was shocked to find that they were also wriggling, as if there was still life activity. What the hell is going on here? Could it be that this guy really can't be beaten to death? Scarface shouted violently. Fuck you, I don't believe you can be so arrogant if you chop off your head. After speaking, his right hand turned into a knife, exuding a pale light, and he slashed towards Feijuan's neck. No, the long-bearded old man was startled and wanted to stop Scarface's actions, but it was too late, and Feijuan's head swung to the side. How can you be so impulsive? We haven't questioned yet. The long-bearded old man was a little exasperated, hating iron for being out of shape. Hearing the long-bearded old man say this, the scarred-faced old man also realized that he really seemed to have done something wrong, but he still said stubbornly, didn't this guy already say it? His name is Feijuan, he is not a Lu Yun at all. At this time, Curly Hair stood up, sighed in a low voice, and said, although this guy is a lot worse than Lu Yun, their clothes are exactly the same, and this guy seems to know Lu Yun very well, if you catch him, you will definitely be able to ask for some clues. You are so random, isn't this nonsense? Scarred-faced old man's face turned red. Although he knew deep down that he had done something wrong, he still refused to admit it. Hey, I said you guys are done arguing. Rory keeps talking. I don't know, it's annoying. If you have this skill, can you take the time to pull my head out of this crack in the stone? I can't see anything here. Just when everyone was remorseful, Feijuan's dying voice came again. What? Gorosei, 5 elders turned his head in disbelief, and found that the corpse without the head was still lying there upright, and in a stone crevice not far away, the voice kept coming out. The one who was most surprised was the old man with a scar. He knew the attack just now, but it was absolutely impossible to say that he didn't cut off the man's neck. Touch. A voice. Feijuan's head was grabbed by the bald old man with mustache. At this moment, Feijuan's eyes were fixed on the old man with a scar, and he said fiercely, "I said, you old boy, did you take the wrong medicine? You can't do anything, it's a very troublesome thing to connect. You know, now that the angle is not around, I don't know who to call, and I don't know if Master Lu Yun can help me connect." No matter how you look at the head hanging in the air, it gives people a feeling of horror, but the opening and closing of the mouth gives people a different kind of funny feeling. But the Gorosei 5 elders have already obtained 2 important pieces of information from this unknown man named Feijuan. One is that Feijuan and Lu Yun know each other, and they should have a good relationship, and the other is a mysterious person called Angle. Seems to be able to connect Feijuan's broken body. These 2 pieces of news were so important that for a while, the Gorosei 5 elders didn't know what to do with this guy. There is no doubt that there must be a huge organization behind Lu Yun, and the people in it are very powerful, which can be seen from the body called Feijuan. Because of this, it is even less likely that the Gorosei 5 elders killed this intelligence source. Come on, cut this guy's body open for me, put it up for me separately, and then close it to impel down. The long-bearded old man pondered for a while and then ordered. When Feijuan heard the words, he couldn't help but scolded, but at this moment, no one cared about the words of this idiot. Chapter 155. What are you all doing? In a port not far from the Holy Land Mariajoy, dozens of dilapidated warships slowly docked. "Marshal, you are back." The speaker was a sad-faced rear admiral, like a dead parent. "What's the matter? Why is his face so ugly?" Kong asked with concern. Although he was not in a good mood, as a superior, it was still necessary to ask questions. "Marshal." Rear Admiral just said 2 words. His voice became choked up, and he couldn't say it anyway, but his eyes that looked like despair looked at the Holy Land not far away. Following Rear Admiral's gaze, Kong suddenly took a deep breath. "I saw that the prosperous Holy Land that was just built a few days ago has disappeared, and countless buildings have been turned into broken bricks and tiles at this moment, and a lot of gunpowder smoke can be vaguely seen rising, and everything is present. It shows that the Holy Land has suffered a devastating blow." "What's going on?" Kong roared coldly as he grabbed Rear Admiral's arm tightly. The veins on his hand burst. Marine choked and said sadly, "Not long ago, that bastard Qin Luo came over and fought with Gorosei 5 elders, and then that guy summoned 4 giant beasts." This, Rear Admiral showed a hint of panic on his face, obviously leaving a shadow on the unknown giant beast. "What? That guy Qin Luo actually came here? How is this possible?" Kong shouted loudly. After all, his group had just fought that bastard fiercely, although the result was not good. "And then?" Kong asked anxiously, his eyes gloomy. "Later. Then the 4 giant beasts were madly destroyed, and Lord Gorosei 5 elders went to stop them, but those 4 giant beasts were too terrifying, and Lord Gorosei 5 elders was beaten to the point that they couldn't handle it at all." Rear Admiral said cowardly, "After all, this kind of thing is not very honorable, and speaking out will affect the authority of the world government." "Are you sure it's Qin Luo?" Kong has some doubts. After all, when he was fighting with Qin Luo just now, he was quite a distance from the Holy Land. Even if he used Moon Step continuously to come over, it would take a lot of time. Kung Fu, and basically there is no fighting power in the Holy Land, so how could Qin Luo rush over so easily? "Marshal, what's wrong with this? So many people are staring at it." Rear Admiral suddenly raised his voice a bit. This does not mean that his eyes are blind. Seeing the determined eyes of Rear Admiral and the Marines around him, Kong was extremely shocked. He finally clenched his fist with a livid face, and finally let it go. But how did that guy get here? Also, how could he have traveled such a long distance and still be so strong? That's what Kong cares about. Etc. Kong was stunned for a moment, and suddenly remembered that Chin Luo's mysterious guy had some special abilities. If he remembered correctly, it seemed that this damned guy had the ability to melt water. If you think so, everything can be explained. After Chin Luo finished fighting with him, he directly used his melting water ability to come to the Holy Land, and then fought with Gorosei, 5 elders again, and then summoned that he had never seen it before. The face, but the 4 giant beasts that sounded very powerful, eventually destroyed the Holy Land in a mess. Damn it! Kong gnashed his steel teeth secretly, wishing to peel Chin Luo's bloody brat for cramps. Now that he had figured out everything, Kong thought about going to the Gorosei, 5 elders to report the battle situation immediately, and at the same time hand in the information he had gathered. Galloping all the way, the goal is to devastate the ground. It is no exaggeration to say that there is no complete building at all. In fact, let alone a building, there is not even a complete brick, and everything has turned into powder. If people don't understand, they will think that this is a desert. Sir. Kong strode into a makeshift conference room and greeted Gorosei, 5 elders humbly. Oh, it's empty, you're back. The long-bearded old man's face was a little ugly, and his expression was a little depressed. I don't know if it was caused by the destruction of the Holy Land. At this time, Kong raised his head to observe the Gorosei, 5 elders in action. Suddenly, his figure was stunned, and he said in surprise, Sir, it turns out that you were not taken away by Chin Luo. Luo also teased me and said big words, so I'll say it. How is this possible? The adults are so strong, how can Chin Luo be an opponent? Now it seems that Chin Luo is just trying to lie to me and disrupt my fighting rhythm. Seeing the bald head of the mustache, Kong couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief and laughed. Fortunately, he didn't believe it at the time. It seemed that Lord Gorosei, 5 elders was still very powerful. However, while Kong was talking, what he didn't notice at all was that the bald-headed mustache's complexion became extremely ugly, as if it could scrape a layer of ash from the bottom of the pot, and the expressions of the remaining Gorosei, 5 elders also became very strange. How's the battle going? Hearing the Gorosei, 5 elders question, Kong's face immediately flushed red, with a look of suffocation and helplessness on his face. The Gorosei, 5 elders understood what the situation was when Kong didn't speak for a long time. HMPH, they are all a bunch of trash. The scarred-faced old man shook his face and snorted coldly. The face of the long-bearded old man is not very good-looking, pressing him, and asked in a commanding tone, what is the specific situation? Kong's face stiffened. He hesitated for a long time before saying, the battle is very bad, and the losses are heavy. After speaking, Kong handed in the report form in his hand. The bald-headed old man with mustache took it over and glanced at it roughly. Damn, how can there be so many casualties, what are you all doing? Kong said just now really made the bald mustache a little difficult to come off the stage, and then I got the opportunity, and I thought to myself that I must make this guy who doesn't know how to watch words look good. Kong heard the Gorosei, 5 elders, gulps, and his heart twitched in disappointment. Isn't there a lot of admiral? I remember there are quite a few vice admiral, there are countless school-level marines, and there are even 30,000 marines. You can get me back this result. At this time, the long-bearded old man also saw after receiving the report. He held back his anger and said coldly. Although the tone was not very strong, Kong could feel the murderous aura hidden in the plain tone. Chapter 156 Enough. Don't you want to be a marshal? Kong said in a panic. Sir, we can't do anything about it. Chin Luo actually has the ability to summon the Sea King class. At that time, our warship was devastated by the Overseas class, and most of the Marines died in the hands of those beasts. In addition, that guy can even set off a tsunami, and the huge waves hundreds of meters high one after another, can't handle it at all. Hearing the scene described by Kong, several Gorosei, 5 elders who were doing it couldn't help but gasp, except for the bald-headed and bearded old man. After all, he was the one who witnessed everything. Are you sure you didn't just make it up to fool us to avoid punishment? The curly-haired old man sneered. He was very clear about Marine's virtues. Nowhere to be strong. When Kong heard the words, he couldn't help but burn with anger, and his voice couldn't help raising a bit. Sir, there are so many people who have survived. If you don't believe it, you can just pull out someone and ask. I'm standing here, I dare to shoot with a chest in his chest, he said. What I said just now is all the truth, not a single word will be false. The curly hair sneered at Kong's swearing appearance, and secretly pretended to pretend. Just when the scene was awkward for a while, the mustache-bald head spoke. Everyone, I can testify that what Kong said just now is the truth. Although I hated Kong to death in my heart, the bald mustache also knew very well that now is not a good time to resolve personal grievances and grievances. Everyone knows that the bald-headed mustache was taken away by Qin Luo, and they must know some secrets, so they all agree with what he said. How is this possible? The scarred-faced old man exclaimed in surprise. They all know that Qin Luo is not a devil fruit person, but how can he exert such a powerful natural power? Okay, everything has passed. No matter how much you say, it doesn't make any sense. At this time, it's better to calm down and think about what to do in the future. The long-bearded old man sighed and stroked it lightly. On his forehead, it's clear that recent events have made him a little bit up. For a moment. Think about it now, if it's really that guy Qin Luo, maybe he can really control the Sea Kings. The calm Scarface said in a muffled voice. Oh, how can you see that? Said the bald-headed mustache with raised eyebrows. You have to know that he can summon the existence of 4 giant beasts at his fingertips. What's the point of controlling some Sea Kings? What's more, the 4 of us spent a lot of effort against him at that time, and we couldn't take any advantage at all. You can imagine how terrifying this guy's strength is. The scarred-faced old man stared at him, slapped the table with his palms and gritted his teeth. Hearing the analysis of the old man with scars, all the people present fell silent. Yes, that guy's strength is so terrifying, isn't it easy to control some Sea Kings? For a while, the small conference room fell into a dead silence, as if they were contemplating something. However, the momentary silence was interrupted by Kong in an instant. My lord, has that bastard Qin Luo really been to the Holy Land? Although Kong already had the answer in his heart, he still wanted to get more accurate information from Gorosei 5 elders. Could it be that Qin Luo's strength is really so strong that several adults failed to capture him? Kong asked in surprise. In his opinion, the Gorosei 5 elders can be said to be the most powerful beings in the world. When a few people join hands, it is enough to wipe out their fight. However, from the conversations of several adults, Kong heard an earth-shattering news, because the news was too sudden and too terrifying, so that Kong had some doubts that there was something wrong with his ears. Gorosei 5 elders didn't answer Kong's question, just silent. Sir, what about Qin Luo? Is he seriously injured and locked in Impel Down? At this time, Kong was still lucky, thinking that the Gorosei 5 elders had captured Qin Luo. That guy escaped, said Scarface in a muffled voice. Kong didn't know that the scar-faced old man used the word escape in the sentence, but it was just to whitewash the strength of Gorosei 5 elders. Except for Kong, the real situation was clear to everyone present, but at this time, no one don't be foolish, and describe the situation at the time without a trace. Damn, that bastard just escaped. Ruined my holy place and wounded so many sailors, how could I let him escape so easily, with impunity? Kong shouted angrily, the muscles on his face twitched because he was too excited, looks unusually terrifying, obviously furious to the extreme. My lord, order it, this time I will definitely take that damn bastard back. Kong's steel teeth were almost crushed, and his voice changed his tone. Gorosei 5 elders exchanged glances secretly at Kong's request, but didn't reply immediately. Sir. Seeing that Gorosei 5 elders didn't answer, Kong thought it was because he didn't believe in his own strength. Just as he was about to open his mouth to defend himself, he was interrupted by the long-bearded elders. Marshal Kong, now I order with the highest authority of the world government. Speaking of this, the long-bearded old man Vivi paused and seemed to be pondering how to use the words. As soon as Kong heard Gorosei, 5 elders speak to him in such a serious tone, his heart jumped, thinking that his example had paid off. All marine staff must not provoke Chin Luo. At the end, the long-bearded old man's voice suddenly rose a bit, and even had a threatening tone, as if to say, if anyone can't live with this order, don't blame me for being ruthless. This is a death order, and everyone will execute it unconditionally. Immediately after, the bald-headed old man with mustache added. What? This? How is this possible? For a time, Kong's face changed in shock, with a shocked expression. You heard it right, this order is even more severe than the one I gave before. If this order spreads out, what will be the consequences? Don't the Gorosei 5 elders know? Thinking of this, Kong's eyes started to bloodshot. Sir, think twice. Enough, the scarred-faced old man said in a cold voice. Kong, if you don't want to be a marshal, don't be a marshal, and you don't even follow the orders of Gorosei 5 elders, I think you've come to an end. Quote. Hearing the words of the scar-faced old man, Kong's breathing suddenly stagnated, as if all his strength had been taken away. At this moment, the long-bearded old man came out and played a round of rounds, saying, Marshal Kong, this is the end of the matter, you just follow the order strictly, don't talk nonsense, and quickly send someone to clean up this place, the Holy Land must be rebuilt within 5 days. After saying that, Gorosei 5 elders stood up, couldn't bear to look at Kong, pushed the door and walked out. Chapter 157. The Provocation of the Big Mom Family. 4/5. I beg to subscribe. At the same time, on the deep-sea Fishman Island, 10,000 meters below the sea surface, the business of beating the Tianlong people is booming, and it can be said that daily gold is being made every day, because the high income has brought great changes to the Fishman Island. So happy smiles permeated the faces of all the people of Fishman Island, and they worship the god of flowing cloud to an almost crazy level. Fortunately, the god of flowing clouds protects Fishman Island, otherwise I don't know what it will look like. Said a catfish fishman holding a long gun and a squid fishman beside him, his mouth full of happiness. Haha, I still need you to say, what Fishman Island looked like before and what it looks like now, can that be compared? Squid Fishman said excitedly. Because of some relationship, he was sent to supervise the most popular island on the island. Although it is said to be regulated, no one dares to make trouble here. After all, the Luyun logo and the 3 rules are very conspicuous. Anyone who dares to feel uncomfortable here is joking with his own life. Hey, look, there are several ships over there. I don't know where the big pirates are from. 12. Haha, I guess we have a big business again. The catfish fishman grinned Isho, his mouth full of sharp teeth. It was terrifying, but the people around didn't care at all. The biggest customers who beat the Tianlong people are the pirates of unknown origin or some business people, but all of them have been bullied by the Tianlong people. It is because of this that they are willing to spend a lot of money to clean up. The nobles of the world let out a wicked anger in their hearts. Wait, why do I look at that pirate flag so familiar? Squidfish Man was shocked and said in a panic, it seems to be Big Mom. A voice trembled a little, obviously from the fear in the heart. Hey, it turned out to be Big Mom, how could her ship come here? Fishman Island guarding the slaves of the Tianlong people became flustered. It's not that they haven't been to the big pirates to take care of the business for so long, but those big pirates are much inferior to Big Mom. Gudong. Many people swallowed hard, and their hearts began to flutter, thinking that those guys didn't come to Fishman Island to make trouble. However, there are always some accidents. After several ornately decorated pirate ships were docked, a group of people rushed over here. The leader was a young man dressed in funny clothes, with unknown oil paint on his face, looking very funny, stepping on high heels under his feet, taking small steps, his face full of smugness. The look is extremely arrogant. Hey, is this the place where Fishman Island is most famous for beating the dragons? Charlotte Nings said with a sly smile. Big Mom, Many people from the pirate group around, all took a break and gave up a lot of space, for fear of annoying this guy. Hey, isn't that guy Big Mom's son, Charlotte Nings? A pirate has seen a wide range of the world, and quickly recognized who it was, but because of this, everyone around him gasped. A sigh of relief. It's the executioner Nings, many people exclaimed in shock. The executioner Ningsy is famous in the New World, not because of how powerful he is, but because of his cruel methods. No one who fought against him survived, and all of them had their heads beheaded. A title. Oh, ho ho, it seems that you have some ability to recognize me. Charlotte Nings grinned Isho and glanced at the surrounding pirates. Seeing the visitor admit his identity, everyone present couldn't help but cast a shadow. This guy's strength is not very scary. His bounty is only tens of millions. A pirate hanging out on Fishman Island. There are more than 100 million people. Just picking out one can easily get rid of this arrogant guy, but he can't stop his strong background. You must know that this hateful guy is Charlotte. What the surname Charlotte means is self-evident to the pirates who want to conquer the sea. Big Mom is one of the horrors in the New World. He loves sweets very much, even for this seemingly simple reason. It is a heinous crime to forcibly invade other countries. Hey, Bedbug, are you really catching a dragon here? Could it be that you just found a few who looked like you to fool us? Charlotte Nings turned her head and said dismissively. The catfish fishman was not at all upset by Charlotte Nings's words, and until now, his heart was still pounding. Of course it's true, it was captured by our Fishman Island protector Shen Luyun, and everyone present knows this. Said the protector Shen Luyun. The catfish fishman was very determined. Come on, Big Mom is really good, but he is not bad. You must know that Lu Yunshan can destroy the existence of the Holy Land at your fingertips. If this group of people want to find it unnatural on Fishman Island, then they will not give Lu Yunshan face. Wait for Lu Yunshan to come back and they will look good. Thinking of this, the catfish fishman didn't seem so flustered. Oh, is that so? Nings sneered. Luyun, the bullshit, really thinks he is invincible in the world. He is not worthy of carrying shoes for mother. The people on the Big Mom pirate ship all laughed when they heard that Nings despised Luyun. Although they said that they had gotten some news about Luyun from the newspaper 867. In this era, who would really believe the news in the newspaper? The nonsense, maybe that guy Luyun paid a sum of money to let the newspapers tout him. It's not that no one has done such a thing before. Fat pig, are you really a Tianlong person? Nings turned his attention to a bloody, swollen face of a Tianlong person, and said disdainfully. You goddamn pariah, you don't even kneel when you see this saint. When the Gorosei 5 elders wipe out that goddamn fellow in Luyun, I will lock you all up as slaves. The fat Tianlongren's sinister eyes staring at Nings, he said resentfully. Yohu, I'm so scared, seeing how arrogant you are. I know you're a celestial dragon. Nings said with a cruel smile, although I have chopped off the heads of many great people, I haven't cut them off yet. You world nobles, I wonder if there is any difference between you and other people's heads. Hearing Nings's words, the Tianlong people's face suddenly turned pale, and the soldiers of Fishman Island standing beside them were also a little flustered. You must know that Lu Yunshan ordered these Tianlong people to be free to fight, but he did not say that they could be killed. Nings had slowly pulled out the saber in his hand, his scarlet tongue licked the corner of his mouth, and his face showed a crazy look. Chapter 158 Smelly Fish. I think you are tired of living, right? Wait, here is only allowed to fight Tianlong people, not to kill. Squidfish Man said boldly. Trash, have you lived enough? How dare you talk to Lord Nings like that? Capone Beige roared, and pulled out the short spear pin to his waist, pointing at the Squidfish Man. Gudong. The Squidfish Man swallowed hard, and waved his tentacles in a disorderly manner, indicating that he didn't want to make trouble with Charlotte Nings. Yohu, Beige, don't be so excited, you must know that we are here to visit, not to make trouble. Nings sneered, although he said not to cause trouble, but the trace of madness revealed in his eyes can be seen. However, there is still a small lesson to be learned. There is always some rubbish to save. I don't know what my surname is, and I don't even look at my own things, and they dare to talk to me like this. Immediately afterwards, Ning's tone changed. Looked eerily at the squid fish man. Fishman is indeed a rubbish race. It looks so ugly, no wonder he has been unable to participate in the World Conference. Ning sneered, and slapped the squid fish man to the ground. You're the son of Big Mom, right? If you can rescue us, I'll give you what you want, money, power, beauty. Seeing such a strong Ning's, he was clamoring for him just now. When the slave Tianlong people became restless, the desire for survival flashed in their small eyes, this time the first person to come to Fishman Island to express disdain for Luyun. Yo ho ho, are you telling me a joke again? I admit that you said it very well. It made this uncle laugh. Ningzipi said with a smile, and when he looked up, he saw the writing not far away. Handwriting. Beat the Tianlong people at will, slap 100,000 Baileys with one hand, and kick 500,000 Baileys with one kick. Handwriting, dragon, and phoenix dance, but it can still be seen clearly. There are several beautiful mermaid ladies under it who are collecting money, but because of the arrival of the executioner Ning's, all the people who paid have disappeared. Do you think this uncle is someone who lacks money? Just kidding. Today, I will let you see that this uncle can kill you with a lot of money. Ningzi leaned into Tianlongren's ear and said softly, then stood up. He said to Bej, who was beside him, give me 10 million Bailey first, and I want to show this guy who doesn't know how to live or die. I'm not short of money, Mr. Ning's. Yo ho ho. Hearing this, Bej took out a black password box from behind and threw it at the payment counter. He said arrogantly, no need to count, 10 million, just a little more. Ning's turned his attention to the Tianlong man again. He isho, the latter trembled with fright. Yo hoo hoo, I have to do a good calculation, how many slaps and kicks you can get with 10 million yuan. I hope you can hold on for a while. If I accidentally kill you, I can be compensated by others. What to do? After speaking, Ning's raised his slender palm. Crack! With a crisp sound, a trace of blood oozes from the corner of Tianlongren's mouth. Yohu, it seems that the face of the Tianlong people is also composed of flesh and blood. I thought they were invulnerable. Crack! There was another crisp sound. The Tianlongren's face was swollen like a steamed bun, so squeezed that he could barely see his eyes, and said vaguely, Jian Ning, what is it for the building untouchables? I will definitely kill you. For the threat of the Tianlong people, Ning's might as well take it to heart, but the strength in his hand became stronger and stronger. I want to see how you killed me. Could it be with your little eyes, ha ha ha, or with your fat body to disgust me to death? Ning's kicked in disgust, only to hear a click, and the Tianlong man who fell to the ground screamed like a pig, and at a glance, he knew that his ribs were broken by someone. Yo ho ho, it really doesn't take a beating. I only slapped a few times, and it's already become this kind of virtue. Ning's shook his hand, took 2 steps forward, and changed to another Tianlong person and started to fight again. Stand up. Crack. The blood was flying, the mourning continued, and a few teeth fell to the ground from time to time, and the people around couldn't bear to continue watching. This is where they are venting their anger, this is completely killing it. It's fun, yo ho ho, it's much more fun than beheading. Ning's was very happy. Bej, give me another 20 million, I want to have a good time, it's really fun. Can you imagine how comfortable it is for those high-ranking lords to keep begging for mercy and mourning in your hands? Do you want to try it too? Try, yo hoo hoo. At this moment, Ning's face was full of madness, and a lot of blood was splashed on his painted face, but this guy who seemed to be a little hysterical didn't care at all. Further 30 million Baileys. No, give me 50 million Baileys. 30 million won't be enough. I still have a lot of tricks I haven't used. I have to have fun. It's really fun. This is called Flo Yun's guy has to be said to be a genius. Ning's was completely in a daze at this time, and he kept shouting in his mouth, crazy. Lord Ning's, we have run out of money. Capone Bej said with a sullen face. Hearing this, Nings paused and said in a cold voice, "We brought a whole 300 million Bailey with us when we came, how could we have no money?" Bej shrugged helplessly, glanced at the payment counter, and saw that the small table was full of green Baileys, making his eyes red. "My lord, you have been playing for almost an hour, and the 300 million Baileys have been spent," Bej said with some embarrassment. Hearing Bej's words, Nings's face suddenly turned gloomy. "What are you kidding me? I just had fun. Are you going to tell me I can't play?" Nings's tone was solemn, with a trace of killing intent. Bej couldn't help but fight a cold war. "HMPH, I have to continue playing without money. When I've had enough fun, when will it be over?" Nings sneered and turned his head to continue beating the Tianlong people. "Stop, Lu Yunshin told me to pay first before beating people. Small business, no credit." Fish Man, the catfish, jumped out of nowhere and said fiercely. Although he was scared to death, he still said it. The king of Fishman Island, Neptune, said that as long as Lu Yunshin said, he must be meticulously implemented. If Lu Yunshin was unhappy, then fish for Man Island, it is a disaster like the sky is falling. Ningzi's face suddenly changed color, his blood-stained face laughed strangely, and it was even more terrifying. "Stinky fish, I think you are tired and crooked." After speaking, Nings rushed to the catfish fishman and knocked him to the ground with a punch. Chapter 159 What Can Lu Yun Do? 003-5. Since you want to die so much, then I will fulfill you. Charlotte Nings drew out her long knife and coldly said Isho. The neck of the catfish fishman. For a time, the catfish fishman closed his eyes in despair, but he did not regret what he said just now. Offending Big Mom is nothing, but Lu Yunshin's will must not be disobeyed. Fishman Island may still be struggling, a place of sin that no one guards. Fishman the catfish never wanted to go back to the past. Goodbye, beautiful world. Renkyaku Tempest Kick. However, at this moment, a crisp voice broke the atmosphere of sword drawing, and then a silver-white slash flew towards the long knife in Ning's hand. "Be careful, Lord Nings," Bej spat out the cigar in his mouth and hurried over. Armed. In an instant, Bej's mouth became pitch black, and he resisted the slashing wave from the impact. Phew, Bej's face was as black as the bottom of the pot, and his eyes were looking in the direction of the chopper. I saw two valiant beauties galloping, and one of them had an amazing figure. I'm saved now, the two adults are finally here. A Fishman Island soldier took a deep breath and wiped the sweat from his forehead. He really wanted to scare people to death just now. It was Momoshiki and Tsunade who came. It turned out that when Big Mom's ship first entered the port, someone notified Tsunade and the two of them. After all, Big Mim's name is really too big. If it is really looking for trouble, just rely on Fishman. The power of the island itself will not be an opponent no matter what. Yohu, Bej, relax a little, what should I do if I scare these two lovely ladies? Nings grinned Isho, showing his back molars. Looking at Tsunade's stalwart hungry, Nings swallowed a mouthful of saliva, thinking to himself, if this kind of person was tormented, I don't know how much fun it would be. Although Nings told Bej not to be nervous, Bej did not relax at all. He had already recognized that one of them was Momoshiki, a former senior official of Marine. At first glance, these two beauties seem harmless to humans and animals, but Bej, who has been on the battlefield, feels the danger of these two people. Lord Nings, please step back, these two are not easy. Bej said in a deep voice. In his opinion a battle was inevitable. As for Ning's strength, Bej knew very well that he was just a second-generation gangster. If he hadn't relied on a gang of men, his head would have been chopped off long ago. Now that he wants Wawa, his life is too long. But even though I thought so in my heart, I couldn't say it with my mouth. However, Nings didn't care, and walked staggeringly towards Tsunade, looking at the guy whose body was hollowed out by the color of wine. This young lady looks familiar, have we met before? Ningxian leaned over with a sullen face and said with a smile, but with his painted face, there was a different kind of funny look. Feel. Tsunade sneered and said, "Hee hee, I think you have a big dream in spring and autumn and haven't woken up yet." After finishing speaking, Tsunade shouted, "Fantastic fist! Danger!" Beige's cold hair shuddered violently, just about to pull Ning's, who was standing in front of him, but it was too late. I saw a loud bang, and Ning's, who had been smiling before, flew out instantly, smashed countless pirates and slid for dozens of meters, and finally stopped after hitting a coral reef, lying on the ground motionless, passed out. Hi! No one would have imagined that such a thin and weak woman would have such great strength. With a single punch, Ning's, the executioner who offered a bounty of 70 million Bailey, could be beaten like this. Could it be that Fishman Island has become a sleeper? The place where the tiger hides the dragon. HMPH, it's just you who still want to play tricks on your aunt and me. I really don't know how high the sky is. Tsunade snorted coldly, and turned his eyes to Capone Beige. Do you know how big a mistake you have made? Beige's face was gloomy, as if he could squeeze out the water, and his attention was shifted from Ning's to this powerful woman. Hee hee, I can tell you without exaggeration that with your punch, not only will you go to hell, but those who have anything to do with you will be treated horribly. Stupid woman, you really understand big what does mom mean? Capone Beige took out a cigar from his bosom and lightly smoked it, as if it had nothing to do with Ning's life or death. Capone Beige naturally heard many people around him say that he is cold-blooded and doesn't even care about the life and death of Big Mom's son. He just snorted and thought to himself, HMPH, stupid people, mothers have so many children, they die every year. What's the matter with a few? Not to mention that this guy Ning's is a waste, die early and worry about it. Hearing this crazy talk wearing a cowboy hat, Tsunade chuckled and said slowly, "Oh, yes, should I be a little scared at this time, but do you want to tell you who the person I have a relationship with is?" What? Capone Beige raised his eyebrows, seemingly a little surprised by this woman's behavior. It stands to reason that many people were frightened and worried after hearing the name of their mother, but this woman was just the opposite. Not only did not panic, instead, there was some expectation. Hee hee, I'm not worried about what will happen to the people who have something to do with me. If you really have this ability, I really want to see how that little bastard is bullied. Said here, Tsunade Yinyabite secretly, obviously sulking in his heart for a long time. Momoshiki, who was standing beside him, couldn't help but sweat droplets on his forehead. It seemed that Tsunade was worried about losing to Chin Luo. It was really impossible for a woman to provoke him. Oh, yes, I want to see who the guy who made you so confident is. Capone Beige took a sharp puff of his cigar, then threw it on the ground, slowly blowing out a smoke ring. Anyone who is familiar with him knows that this is a prelude to doing it. Right now, there is only one person who has an unclear relationship with me, and that is Lu Yun. Tsunade said, as if he was talking about a trivial matter. Hi. When the people around heard this woman's words, they couldn't help but take a deep breath. No wonder she was so powerful, so she was the woman of Lu Yunshen. If Tsunade knew that other people thought so, I wonder if he would regret the vague words he just said, but then again, isn't that the kind of relationship between the two? Hee hee, what can Lu Yun do? Compared to my mother, it's a piece of trash. Today, I'll use you to kill the majesty of that guy who doesn't know how high the sky is. Capone Beige roared, and then rushed up with a stride. Chapter 160 Tsunade vs Capone Beige. Seeing this, Momoshiki and Tsunade's originally calm faces showed a stern look. I don't eat a toast and eat a fine drink. Is it really a good-natured old lady? Tsunade's eyes were gloomy. Since she was deceived by Lu Yun's master for 50 years, her whole person became irritable, although she borrowed millions of shells from Momoshiki. Li went to beat the Tianlong people, but the Tianlong people were no different from ordinary people to Tsunade, and she could not experience the refreshing feeling of beating the Tianlong people. After the fight, not only did he not eliminate his anger towards Lu Yun, but he also owed Momoshiki a lot of money. This made Tsunade even more irritable. Before he could calm down, he ran into a guy who stretched his neck and was beaten, how could Tsunade let him go? HMPH, mere women and children, go to the side. Caponebej's face was gloomy, and the iron fist covered with armament had already heard the sound. Fantastic fist. Armament. Hardened. Boom. Unbiased, Caponebej punched directly with Tsunade's strange force fist, and the surging destructive power on Tsunade's fist made Caponebej gasp. Boom. An instant, Caponebej's body couldn't resist the huge strange force, and flew straight out, hitting a coral reef with a bang, and the dust was spreading, and Caponebej was lying on the edge of the broken coral reef. The catfish fishman was lying on the ground, his face pale with fright, and sat up with difficulty. Fishman Island and the pirates all around, exclaimed constantly. How is that possible? The captain of the famous West Blue Flame Tank Pirates was beaten down with one punch. Am I right? This is really Caponebej. Hey, it seems that Fishman Island has caused a lot of trouble. Not only did it fight Charlotte Linlin's son Charlotte Nings, but also played against Caponebej. This really provokes the Charlotte family. A pirate heart mad jump, shocked. Che, is the Charlotte family very good? In front of Luyun God, what is that? Shish, keep your voice down and shut up if you don't want to get in trouble. The voices of shock, fear, disdain and fear came from Fishman Island, making the surrounding atmosphere tense. The Charlotte family is not afraid of the world government, and Lu Yunshen is equally fearless. So, whether the Charlotte family is stronger or weaker than Lu Yunshen, there are many people on Fishman Island who are drumming in their hearts. Although they worship Luyun God, but this is not blind worship, there is still some thought in the worship. Big Umum has superpowers of devil fruit. He holds Thundercloud Zeus in his left hand and Sun Prometheus in his right hand. He can control the weather at will, attracting storms and lightning, which can be called catastrophic, killing the trick. Big Umum is also at hand, and even injecting his soul into the dark cloud, he can completely command the thunder cloud, and the method is called heaven defying. And if this Big Umum really wants to collide with Luyun God, it is still unknown who will die. But 100% of the people on Fishman Island support Luyun, because Luyun, a sturdy and tall man, has brought them peace and prosperity. Even, faintly, the prestige of Lu Yunshen has surpassed that of King Neptune of Fishman Island. Today, although Neptune is in power, Luyun is the god in the hearts of the people of Fishman Island, a supreme being in a kind of belief. Things like trash fish are really boring. Tsunade clapped his hands disdainfully, feeling very unchallenged. Sister, don't be careless. Mamasagi's beautiful eyes flashed coldly, and she looked at Caponebej with a slightly dignified look. The name Caponebej, Mamasagi has heard it before, is the leader of the Flame Tank Pirates. In just a few years, he has become famous in West Blue, and he has established his undoubted high status. Faced with such a character, one must be prepared. Hey, Mamasagi, you're too vigilant. This kid has been beaten down by me, what else can happen? Tsunade said nonchalantly, one of the three ninjas in the dignified Naruto world. I haven't seen any scenes before, to be honest, a Caponebej just can't get into Tsunade's eyes. Sister Tsunade, this world can't be confused with the world you imagine. There is a kind of person in this world, called the ability person, who is a mutant who ate the devil fruit, and his strength is terrifying. Oh, is that so? No matter what horror this guy has, I'll smash it with one punch. Tsunade nodded at Mamasagi's kind reminder, and was a little cautious in his heart. Damn it. Caponebej got up from the coral pile and kicked the boulder around him, his face ashen. He used armament hardening and played against Tsunade, but he still did not cancel out the huge power like a monster. After standing up, Caponebej's eyes were red, and he patted the dust on his body, his expression gloomy. Kid, what's your ability? Don't be afraid of armament. Caponebej stood up, speculating. This kind of ability is a bit unbelievable. If you fight with this woman's bare hands, it will be very disadvantageous. Caponebej, who is very experienced, figured it out immediately, if he resisted. Armament. What is that? Tell you, no matter what, it will be smashed with one punch in the hands of the old lady. Tsunade raised his pink fist. Haki said. What a big breath. Capone Beige sneered, and before Capone Beige could turn around, Tsunade's right leg volleyed up and stomped on Fishman Island. Heaven's feet. Bang. Suddenly, the earth vibrated rapidly, and under Tsunade's feet, thick and ferocious cracks burst out crazily, and the place shook violently, like a landslide. What's the matter? What kind of move is this? This kick is so strong. For a time, countless pirates who were close to each other gasped, and a huge violent wave suddenly lifted them away. Countless pirates and the people ran wildly into the distance, and the violent shaking of the earth made them feel uncomfortable. Steady, tossing around, getting very embarrassed. And Capone Beige also swayed left and right, trying to stabilize her body. Little devil, take a punch from the old lady. Hong. Lips lightly opened, seeing that Capone Beige couldn't take care of himself, Tsunade stepped on the gravel, and his body flashed away, punching Capone Beige with a punch. Damn it. A stern look appeared in Capone Beige's eyes, and he hurriedly used his fortified fruit ability. Castle demolition. Boom. Suddenly, when Tsunade 3.1 hit the fist, a miniature city wall emerged directly from Capone Beige's body. Then, this miniature city wall swelled in the wind, and in an instant, it expanded into a full 1 meter thick and several meters. A huge thick iron wall of length and width. Boom. Tsunade's body shot away, and the strange force fist hit the iron wall with one punch. Then, in the shocked eyes of countless people, dense cracks appeared on the iron wall. One punch. Boom. Little devil, what kind of ability is it to hide? If you have the ability, you can take a punch from the old lady. Tsunade looked at the broken iron wall that he had blasted, and couldn't help but say coldly. HMPH. Although I have to admit that you have some strength, but you are too big, so try my methods now. Capone Beige was slightly shocked for a moment, but soon returned to normal, glaring at Tsunade with a sinister look on his face.